So first and foremost, how are y'all holding up?
Man, like I said, man, we're focused right now. You know, I mean, like I said, given the circumstances, we're standing strong. You know, we're really having to lean on our faith harder than we've ever had before. You know, we just know that God knows the truth, and that's what we want to make sure that we stand on. We stand on the truth. The truth always wins, no matter what. You know, I know the truth can't be a lie, and a lie can't be the truth. So, you know, we're thankful for all the support we're getting. You know, thank you, Jeff, for, you know, having us on the podcast today, making sure, you know, we're getting a chance to sit down with you. I know we've been wanting to do it for a while now,
right?
But, you know, it's just time. You know, we're tired of just sitting by while we've been getting dragged through the media. And, you know, one grain of truth can take down a whole mountain of lies. So, you know, like I said, thank you.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
Babe,
Yep. Shonda?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep.
Yeah. My husband pretty much hit everything on the head, like I was saying earlier. Faith is what helps to keep us as resilient as we are right now. I would be lying if I said that there wasn't an emotional effect on me specifically, probably because being away from my son who's a baby and my teenage daughters who are all doing well. But we do have a strong team behind us. My family does an amazing job, my children's guardians. We have a very, very, very strong coalition and wise counsel behind us that not only teach us, you know, the truth when it comes to the law, but when it comes to the word, because it's definitely on top of an emotional and a physical battle. It's a mental battle to go through such a strenuous legal process. I'm very thankful for having the opportunity to finally speak because I think that it's important for us to just get our story out.
First and foremost, can y'all walk us through what BINT was for those who don't understand what y'all were doing?
Yeah. Man, you know what? We are on these timed phones. I want to make sure that I give you, you know, I'm able to speak before we get interrupted. But what I'm gonna do, man, I'm gonna hang up and call right back.
Okay.
You have
I'll call
3 minutes remaining on this call.
I'll call it like 15 minutes at a time. So I'm gonna hang up and call right back, and then we gonna answer that question.
All right, sounds good. So if anybody on the line, ASAP, coming back, he's gonna address everything. Can y'all hear us in the chat? They're saying it's echoing bad. We doing our best. We doing it from the jail, bro. Live. Letting y'all answer any questions. We Q&A. We're gonna let y'all get in there, ask whatever questions y'all want. Yeah, they're in jail right now. They're calling from jail. Okay, Beverly. So we on, Beverly? I can hear? Okay. There we go. There we go. Usually we would do this with a StreamYard link, but it's a little different. We had to hook the actual phone up. It's a little different, so trying something new. But we giving y'all the exclusive, though. Make sure y'all like this. Make sure y'all share this. And DJ ASAP is back on his way. He's calling in. They get 15 minutes at a time. So whenever he calls back, he's going to go through BINT. He's going to break down what the organization was. Keita, shout out my dog, Keita.
I'm here. I'm back.
All right. ASAP back. All right, so ASAP, walk us through how BINT got started.
All right. So before I do that, man, I just want to make sure that, you know, I really, it's a long story, but I want to sure I take my time and explain it so everyone, you and along with everyone else, really fully understands what really happened.
Right.
The best way to really start this out is to kind of give you an example, right? So, Jeff, you're a smart guy, man. You like stocks?
Yeah, absolutely.
You invest?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So let's say you have you get introduced to a new stock. Let's just say for the sake of the argument, let's say it's TikTok, right? someone tells you about TikTok and the stock is doing great. You know, it's booming like crazy. The number is 500% returns. If it went up, 500 points on the stock market, you end up, investing in it because you see it's a good investment, right? So from that point on, it works for you. It works for your friends. You invite your friends, your family, your closest people to you, and they do the same thing. They see it's a good thing. They see it works for them. It works for their family. It works for their friends, and they end up inviting their friends and their family, and they get involved. Well, let's say something happens to TikTok. Let's say TikTok gets banned. Something that's out of your control. But you've told these people to invest. And they've invested. And then, once it gets banned, that stock loses money. Are you responsible for that? Should you be held liable for that? Is that something you would go to jail for?
Probably not.
Exactly, and that's pretty much what's happening right now. So I just wanted to give you that example so you can, really fully understand what's going on right now. But BINT, when we started, that's exactly how it started. My wife had a friend, I'd say, back in February 2020. And, we were going through the pandemic just like everyone else, COVID era. We were just adjusting to the new way of life. And my wife had a friend who approached her about an investment opportunity to join like a like-minded group of individuals that wanted to help build generational wealth. So, basically it required an investment of $1,400 and in a return of $11,200. So with the short turnaround time, like I told him, it sounded good, but I wanted to see it work for her before I joined. So about 2 weeks later, she actually ended up receiving like 8 separate payments of $1,400. So that totaled that $11,200. So she was shocked. I was shocked. So once I seen it work for her, I watched the presentation. It was a group called Multiply Blessings, and they explained what it was, and it's basically what it was called a susu. So, it's basically, it's a lot of different coaches that do it all over the world, right? So it's kind of like a social banking or like a wealth creation. Asians call it a tanda, Jamaicans call it partner. I've heard people call it like round robin and things like that. But, it excited me because, it was basically people helping other people. It's kind of like an informal savings circle. So peer-to-peer support, peer-to-peer, participation, that's really all it was about. So we ended up, joining. We invited, other people to join. I sent my $1,400 when I joined to a complete stranger, just like my wife sent hers to a complete stranger. And, 2 to 3 weeks later, I started getting notifications, just like her, 8 separate payments of $1,400. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So it worked. And, from that point on, I was sold. So we just started spreading the word to our closest friends and our family. They all joined us as well. But, so it just grew like wildfire just by word of mouth. Especially during the pandemic, this was just something that when we looked up, we actually seen like there was hundreds of these groups out. So, it's just something that my wife was introduced to. She told me about, and, we ended up joining this group called Multiply Blessings. So, so after about a month, we were in that group, and they said, hey, you guys are growing too fast, and it's hard for them to manage. So they basically forced us to break off, and we had to basically start our own group. So in April, we took our boards from Multiply Blessings, and with all the boards and the people that were on them, and we had to start our own community, which was called BINT. So basically, BINT, B-I-N-T, blessings in no time. So that's literally how all this started.
Okay, so basically, you invested yourself. You seen the return. You became a believer and started your own group.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you. So You know, it's funny because I actually do know like one person that was an early investor, and they claim they made money also. But what I want to ask you is, at what point do you feel like it went wrong, right? Because obviously we're here for a reason. So at what point did it go left?
Just a lot of things that just went wrong, you know, that we weren't aware of, right? I think in the beginning, it was, we didn't understand how much manual work was involved behind the scenes to, you know, just keep up with everyone in the community, you know, all the movement of the boards, doing presentations every week, you know, and just, like I said, just a rapid growth. Like, this grew like crazy. Within a few months, we had over 8,000 people. So imagine trying to communicate with, you know, that amount of people at one time. Also, you know, just basically growth out of this world and trying to keep up with that. So we, you know, that's basically when we were up. We used to be up for like 20 hours a day, just working on boards, making sure everybody was, you know, keeping up with their boards, making sure that the new boards came out, making sure we're giving updates to everybody. You know, constant communication. We had to, you know, get an admin team, people that we, you know, hired around us to help with this. You know, and just really just at that point, we just realized, hey, man, we're going to need some type of technology, some type of system to keep up with all this growth. So, and that's when we reached out to a then friend of mine named Nehemiah. And, you know, he had already heard of these types of groups. You know, we sat down and came up with what was supposed to be BINT at that time. So, you know, and that's when he tells us, you know, he already has a software that he's already developed called Connect Me, and it could be a good relationship just for us to kind of team up, and, you know, he can build us basically our own software to keep up with the boards and have everyone have transparency with, you know, everything that's going on in the community. You know, I want to make sure, you know, Wifey gets a chance to, you know, chime in on this as well.
I'll agree with Dre. What went wrong? We grew too fast, too quickly, and crumbled under our own weight. The communication was definitely a big factor in everything. We would have communication issues that led to confusion, and then confusion led to delays, and there was a lot of disagreement. Tensions just started to arise the bigger the group got. It's a difference when you have 2 people fighting versus 20 people fighting versus 200 people fighting. So as the group grew, the tension grew. There was external tension fires that we were trying to put out, as well as internal tension fires, you know, that we were trying to put out. And it seems like every fire that came up would cause us to make an alteration or a change. I think some of where you have a manual process, and even once we got a process that we thought was going to cure with automation, transitioning the manual process into Connect Me, which we thought was going to solve a lot of the automation that we needed, and ultimately it didn't solve all of that. Even that, you know.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
Hello?
You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Were you? I'm sorry.
You were breaking.
You
down.
have
Yeah, I think
3 minutes remaining on this call.
I think the last thing I was saying, and we can wrap this one up, was even when we thought we had solved for the manual process by transitioning into an automated system, we had no idea some of the issues and problems that we were going to take on coming into Connect Me. Just transitioning into that system was a headache. Then once we got into the system, it was a headache. And I think that most people understand that with any new software or technology, the initial, you know, opening of that, there's going to be bugs. There's going to be things that you think are going to work a certain way, and they're not. Connect Me ultimately was in a beta phase, and there were a lot of things that were told to us, and we would repeat those things, and then it wouldn't happen. So it would, you know, bring even more breakdown in trust and communication. And it's like, well, we're giving you guys what's being given to us, and we took the fall for some of it. And I don't think that any of the things that were told to us that we repeated were always told with the intention to deceive anyone or to lie. It's just you don't know what you don't know, and we were all just charting in uncharted water. You know, it was uncharted territory. It was something new. We were trying to do something that had never been done before.
So the next portion that I want to get into is the criminal case, where you're at now with it. I know you might have to call back ASAP. You want to call back?
Your call will end in 1 minute.
Yeah, we can call back and start again.
Okay, cool. So y'all, I want y'all to make sure that y'all put y'all questions in the chat. Make sure y'all put y'all's questions in the chat. We're going to have a Q&A. So if you a former BINT member, or if you have just general questions about the trial, how they're doing, put it in the chat. Q&A coming real soon. But they got to do these 15 minutes at a time. We're doing it straight through jail call. And when they get back, we're going to touch on the criminal case, the $25 million, and we're going to go through there. Like, okay. Right. Yeah, man. Hey, make sure y'all like, subscribe. Make sure y'all share this. We about to get into it. Make sure y'all throw y'all questions in the chat too. DJ ASAP calling back in. You know you on camera, right? DJ ASAP calling in from jail, man. We about to go through the BINT case. Him and his wife LaShonda. Wait, time they look at. Good one. Good one. Keep the questions coming. Q&A coming right up. Okay, DJ ASAP is back. All right. So let's get right into it. You guys were indicted for they say $25 million pyramid scheme. Can you break down what you guys were charged with?
First of all, I gotta say this, y'all. We did not do what they're saying we did. I have to stress that. I cannot stress that enough. I have to stress we did not do what they're claiming that we did. The amount that they're coming up with an amount of $25 million, which really no one knows where this amount comes from. I mean, I've heard reports, I've heard stories that we've gotten all this money, we've, stolen all this money. The money was never coming to us. Just like I said before, I paid a complete stranger when I got in. It just depends who's on their board at the time. People paid other people in this program, people that they didn't even know, people that they didn't even, never met before. Some of the charges that they're charging us with has been wire fraud, conspiracy to wire fraud, and money laundering. And so, there's no conspiracy, there's no money laundering, and there's no wire fraud here. If that's the case, then everyone who participated is guilty of the same things. Because they're saying a $1,400 charge for us is one count of wire fraud. Well, that doesn't really make sense. And how's that criminal? Because everyone who participated sent $1,400 to someone, bless someone. It's crazy how all these charges and how the government has come up with this narrative that we stolen this $25 million. We had before this was even criminal, let's just talk about, we dealt with a civil case. This was civil way before it was anything criminal. When we dealt with this in the civil case, we had a forensic accountant go through every one of our accounts from years back. And you know what they didn't find? $25 million. That's what they did not find. We know exactly what we made off the boards, and we also had a commission check that was coming to us for this software because everyone, Connect Me charged a $85 a month fee, and that $85 went straight to Connect Me. We received a commission of $35 each person from Connect Me. And we were very transparent. We were very open about this to everyone in the community. That was the whole point of Connect Me, was to give transparency about where you are on your board, who who you're blessing out, your movement on the board. So that the charges of this is it's crazy, and none of this is criminal. We had no intent to defraud anyone.
I think I can kind of tap in with my husband. Sorry. I can tap in with my husband on that. What are the charges we're looking at? Where did this come from? He's right. This came from everything on the civil side first. Because it went through on the civil side first, that's ultimately how they were able to backdoor themselves into the criminal case in the first place. But let's talk about even how the civil side of this whole thing started. When we were in the group, as we said, total chaos and dysfunction started to happen. By the end of it, there was an individual that was in the group named Kelly Singleton Lewis who decided to make a band and a Facebook page, and she told everyone to go and complain to the Texas Attorney General, Arkansas Attorney General, and the STC. So June of 2021, we get hit with a civil lawsuit from the Texas Attorney General. I think maybe 5 or 6 days later, boom, we get hit with the second lawsuit where the Arkansas Attorney General and the FTC teamed up on a joint lawsuit, and we fought that civilly for 2.5, maybe 3-ish years, right? Within that time, what we found out maybe a year and a half into that fight, a lot of the information that was being gathered was also going to be used against us for the criminal indictment that we ended up getting 6 months after we solved the civil law side of this. All three entities ended up coming together to do a global settlement. And that global settlement also has a number on the internet of like 10.3 million or something like that. That global settlement, and the only reason we settled is because we ran out of money to continue fighting and paying attorneys. That settlement was for $510,000. If we defaulted on that settlement, then the penalties from defaulting takes you to $10.3 million. There's different stipulations and fees from defaulting. So even when you see on the civil side, you'll read that in the blogs. That is incorrect information. The settlement was for $510,000 that had to be paid over 7 years. And if you defaulted on that, well, of course we were going to default on it because 6 months after we settled it, you hit us with an indictment where we have to turn around at that particular time and start paying for a criminal suit. Well, even on the civil side, we had ineffective assistance of counsel. No one told us that we should have filed a counterclaim for the civil side. And that's a 5th and 14th Amendment due process violation.
So let me ask you this. So during the actual court case, how did that go? Did you represent yourself? Were you able to effectively communicate this to the defense and they just didn't buy it?
As far as the trial goes, I can't even really call it a trial. It was like a crucifixion, in a way, because we didn't have direct access to the courts. There's been so many violations and things that's been going on, even since the civil side. that, we've tried to communicate with the courts. We sent in our affidavits and our petitions and our filings, and they have been ignored. They've not only have they been ignored, but they've actually been deleted from the docket, which is crazy. We've had so many different situations where, as far as like when she brought up Kelly Singleton Lewis. Kelly Singleton Lewis is a federal probation officer for the Eastern District of Louisiana, and she's based out of Baton Rouge. She was actually in our group. Not only was she in our group, she also invited, 20 to 25 people into the group. So I just want to go back and make sure that everyone knows, like, this Kelly Singleton Lewis lady, she is a government official. If what we were doing was so criminal, why do we have government officials in our group? We had politicians, we had senators, we had IRS agents, we had a whole bunch of different people. We even have we just found this out during the trial, but we also had an ICE agent in the community. And so, so many things that these government officials that were in the group and they participated, especially Kelly Singleton Lewis, and also there's another one named Donna Patterson. She's an ICE agent now. They basically created complaints and created a template for people to send in saying that they paid us directly. And so, she stated that she knew how to take us down and she knew exactly, what to say to make it happen. So I just want to point out that's a direct violation of due process. And that's actually the statute for that is 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242, which is conspiracy against rights and deprivation of rights, and under color of law. So this is basically what happens when two or more people in the government come together to intimidate or threaten or to injure any person in the state. And she had a personal vendetta against us. So right now we're counting over 45 due process, human and civil rights violations, just in this case alone, just in the criminal side. That's why I say it wasn't even a real trial. It was more like a crucifixion because anything that we've been trying to do has been ignored. You asked if we represented ourselves. We chose to. We've been through so many attorneys in this situation. We started to realize that all the attorneys are not really working for us. That it's like they smile in your face. They tell you they're going to do something, and they tell you, that they have your best interest on it, or you're going to protect their rights, but they don't. And so we went a more private stance in trying to, represent our person. And so, a lot of people call it pro se, but we just didn't consent to a pro se type of classification. And we also said that that's when they gave us forced representation.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
They gave us forced representation and, made attorneys represent us at that time.
Hey, Sam, real quick, can you clear this up? There's people in the chat saying that they heard you represented yourself. What is the question? The answer to that question.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't practice law. We cannot practice law. We don't practice a foreign copywritten law.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
We filed affidavits to go over this as well to make sure that our voice was heard. But we just didn't have correct access to the courts. Anytime we tried to present any type of communications, they were ignored. So to answer that question, no, we did not represent ourselves. We did have an attorney, but that attorney was forced upon us.
Like a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, real quick, there are a lot of people in the chat asking about why the money was not refunded.
Good question. Good question. Definitely want to get to that as well. I'm gonna. I know my phone's getting ready to time out. Hang up, and I'm gonna call it back, and we'll jump on that.
And we're gonna jump on that. All right, guys. Let me pin this question to the screen. So ASAP is in 15-minute segments. We got them on. Make sure you throw your questions in the chat. If I can find that question, it's a good one. We're gonna touch on the refunds and why nobody got their refund, or not nobody, but why most people didn't get their refund. Okay, good one. And how much time are they facing? We'll touch on those two. Those will be the next two questions. Shout out to the Mean Lord 8924. Shout out to Tam Tam, and shout out to Mo Money. Momo Money. Shout out to Syari though. I see you in the chat. If you haven't seen, man, Syari be going crazy on our interviews, man. He be going viral every time. He talk that real shit. But what are y'all feeling about the interview so far? Are y'all feeling what they saying? Y'all not fucking with it? Hey man, it's real life, man. We keep it real up here. Just put what you feel in the chat. Are you fucking with them or are you not? ASAP calling back in. We waiting on him. When he comes back in, we are touching on the refund situations. We're touching on how much time they got in jail, and then we'll go through some Q&A. Devin said, bullshit. Meme Lord says, I know this is off topic, but the kids, they just had a baby. How are they? Do they see and talk to them? And that's real. That's tough. Both parents. And Nicole said, hell no, they scammers. Sorry said, I miss my dogs, man. They always been good people. They treated me good every time I came to Dallas. Real family vibes every time. No fraud shit ever. You know, on our platform, we just like to let people tell their side of the story, man. So if you were in the BINT and you got money, put it in the chat. If you were in the BINT, you did get money, put it in the chat. I want to know, you know. I feel like she is a liar, manipulator, and she knew exactly what she was doing. Damn. That's how you really feel. Let me see who else we got in here. Jennifer says, I feel like she's a liar, manipulator, and she knew exactly what she was doing. Why do y'all feel like that? Can y'all put that in the chat? I want to know why y'all feel like that. Why do y'all feel like y'all feel? ASAP was a good person, and this is all her fault. God damn. Tyree said, let's be honest, this one of them things you wouldn't even think was illegal until you get indicted.
Are we back?
Wait a minute.
All right, ASAP.
Hold.
All right. So I'm going to ask the question again. Let me see who asked it. I think it was Tam Tam. Asked about why wasn't the money refunded? Can you hear me? Yo.
Dre's not back. Shonda got to chime in on that, Shonda.
I'm here.
Okay.
Can you ask the question again? I'm not for sure what happened with my husband. Yeah, okay. I'm back.
Tam Tam in the chat asked, why wasn't the money refunded?
That's a really good question. I'm glad that we finally got to that one. So let's talk about refunds and how the refund process worked. Like we explained in the beginning of this, it just grew so fast. We had more people than we had places to put them. So being naive, thinking that the energy that we had in the beginning of the process was going to be something we were going to always be able to manage, always be able to handle, we did talk about refunds, and refunds were given. I want to make sure that that is explained and that that is put out there. Towards the end, there was no way for us to personally refund people with money that we never received. In the beginning, whenever we spoke, refunds always came from a process that happened within the group. Anytime a person wanted to leave, we would always get their information, or the admin team that we had would get their information, and we would sell their spots. Before we would split boards to move the group forward, anybody that wanted to sell their spot always gave their information to our admin team, and we would sell those spots. We had so many people that wanted to come into the group that we had to create a waiting room. The waiting room had between 2,000 and 3,000 people waiting. Some people would wait 3, 4, 5 weeks to get into the group because the people that were already in the group would buy spots, or they would get blessed out and come back and reinvest. The waiting room ended up being something that got turned over when we did the shutdown, when it came time for us to move the process from the manual side to the automation side, which is another story that we'll get into a little later into the interview. So in the beginning, when a person wanted a refund, and whenever we spoke and we would say the words we always meant community. Everything that we done as a community. In the beginning of BINT was the place that you wanted to be. We had chat rooms. People were in the chat rooms. We had relationships. We had people that created friendships. We had bonds. It was just something to do. Everybody was at home during the COVID time, and those phones would be dinging from 3 o'clock in the morning until, the wee hours of the next night because it was such a great place to be. We had fun. So initially when we talked about refunds and we told people, hey, if you ever want to leave or if things are not working, then you got your refund, and we were giving refunds. As things started to slow down, yes, we personally refunded, but we continued the original refund process that we had. Lo and behold, did we ever think that this would crash down in the middle of somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 people wanting a refund all at one time? That is something that is impossible for me and my husband to do on our own, but not just from the efforts of me and my husband, entire admin team, as well as other individuals that were in the group who this process had worked for. They all had stepped up to the plate to try to help get people back put in a place of being whole. Unfortunately, there's only so much that we could do once things got so far.
So I personally want to ask you this, Shonda, because I'll be honest, we Reallyfe Street Starz. I just got to keep it a bean. A lot of people in the chat feel like you're not keeping it all the way real. What do you say to the people in the chat?
I don't want to answer that question without specifics. I know that we're going to get to the Q&A, but since you asked me on the spot, specific about what? Not keeping it real about what? It's very hard to put every detail about what happened from the beginning to the end in one conversation. Right. Give me an example of something that we're not being real about.
Right.
And let's also make sure that we understand this. If we're going to ask questions, let's make sure that we're asking with an opportunity for an open mind. I've had 5 years to sit back and look and listen to comments and concerns and complaints and discretions that people have. And one thing that I have to be honest with, I understand the thoughts behind a lot of the stuff that comes, from individuals that just don't know what happened or that look at it from a certain perspective. I myself was a participant in another group, and my perspective had to change when I got on the other side of it. There was never an intent to take anything from anybody. If that intent would have been there, if we had collected all of this money, we would have taken the money and disappeared. Even right now, being on this interview is our attempt to let people know if you were someone that this hurt or that this did not work out for, it was never an intention for anyone to be hurt. It was never an intention for this not to work. We've never disappeared. Even right now, in the middle of being crucified, in the middle of waiting on a judge to sentence us with our life, that, we're still here trying to talk to people. So tell me what is it? What is a specific that we're not being real about? What is a specific that you actually want to know?
And on top of that, like she said, we didn't disappear. I was still in the clubs. Right. Anybody could walk up to me and say anything they needed to at any time, and I'm open for any conversation. I'm not a hard person to find, you know. And not one time did anyone ever come up to me and say, "Hey, you know, I'm upset about this," or "This is what happened," or "Why did you do this?" And if they did, I'm all ears, and I'm here to have a conversation. Just like my wife said, we're not running from anything. So please tell us what we're keeping it real about.
There's people, they're in there, but this is what I want to ask. What is the thing that you feel like is the most unfair thing that they put on y'all? What has been said where you're like,
man, there's
that is totally off?
For one, the $25 million, we can start there. $25 million, like I said before, we never received. That money never came to us. It's like going to Walmart and buying a TV from Walmart, and you have a receipt from Walmart, but you're unhappy with that TV or it doesn't work, and you go to Target to try to get a refund from Target off of something you bought from Walmart. Target never received your money. You can't get money from Target if you never paid Target the money that you paid Walmart. Does that make sense?
Right. Now, I feel
you know, so I think the 25 million
right.
is a bogus number, because even if we're just talking about 8,000 people times $1,400, that doesn't equal 25 million. If you grab your calculator out, that's something like 17,000 people we're talking about. We had nowhere near that. You know, that's one of the main things that hurts. You know, the character. You know, Jeff, you know me for years, at least a decade. You know, I've never
You have
been the type to
3 minutes remaining on this call.
I've never been the type to be shady. I've never been the type to get over on people. You can't even tell me a story of someone that says I've owed them money.
And that's, I think that's where a lot of people struggle with this, ASAP. People know you, and they know, typically they know ASAP is a jovial, cool dude. So to see this pop out, it's like, yo, what happened? Right? There are people that are truly trying to search for answers. There's people in here, the chat, defending your name. There's people in the chat that have gripes. Do you feel like it's one of those situations where there are people that made money and there are people that may not have made money, and they're just all jumbled in together telling their story?
Oh, for sure. That's exactly what it is. It's just a big pot of a mixture. You know, you can have people that this worked for. You know, over 5,000 people this worked for. You know, and like my wife said before, we're not denying that it didn't work for some people and that some people lost. We're not saying that. And I'm going to say it right now. Anyone that did lose, I'm truly sorry that they lost. You know, it was never our intention for this to get to this point, obviously, right? We were in something and we started something that we genuinely wanted to help everyone that was connected to it. You know, when this first started, we had a huge demand. You know, we had more people trying to join than we could even, you know, allow into the group at that time. So, you know, it went from, you know, just all these highs and everyone so happy about, you know, the results that they were getting, to, you know, all these errors or system errors or things that started happening, gripes that started happening when, you know, as a community, they just didn't work for everyone. And like I said, that wasn't, a lot of those things were beyond our control. You know, it's different when, you know, if I'm building something to intentionally get over on someone.
Right.
That's one thing. But it's a totally different thing when you're building something to help someone, to help other people. And you have all the great intentions of helping other people because you have over 5,000 people that it has helped. Let's not forget that. And of course, there are going to be people that are upset because it just didn't work or something went wrong. And, you know, I wish we could control those things. I wish we had better foresight to see those things happen before they did, but we just didn't have that we didn't have a crystal ball to tell the future. And I think that's really important for everyone to understand.
You know,
I think I want to piggyback on what my husband. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I want to piggyback on the question that you had. What hurts about this the most? What's been the most unfair? I can't remember exactly how you asked that question. Would you say that for me one more time?
What's been the most unfair thing on your name in the public?
Of course, that's a twofold question for me personally. The most unfair thing in the public has been the crucifixion. I think a lot of people come at me a little bit harder than my husband because of my personality. My husband's a little bit more cool, calm, collected, and laid back, and I'm looked at as, you know, the firecracker between our mixture. But what I will say is it's very hard for me to get around the narrative of being a little overambitious or even cocky, if you want to say. I will absolutely admit that. I have to swallow that. I absolutely believe that what we were doing was going to eventually work, that we got to a place, it was bad, but we could come out of it. Maybe I was naive. Maybe I was too full of myself or too full of what me and my husband were doing to allow it to not want to give up. That has been, you know, one of the harder parts publicly. But privately, I think that the private side that people don't know about is what has been the most difficult for me. Because what I've kind of been taught over these past 2 years is a humbling experience of you can't make everybody like you. And no matter how much we get this truth out about who I am as a person, some people are just, you know, you can be the ripest apple in the bunch, and some people just like peaches. I have to accept that, you know. But what I want for the people that dislike me or dislike my husband or that think that we done this, I want you to think about having a family member who may or may not have made a mistake and has to go through a judicial system that treats them unfairly. For one, we didn't do what the government is accusing us of doing. But even if we did, is it fair for all of us to live in a country where a judicial system is allowed to violate you and your family and your constitutional rights and your due process rights? It's not. A lot of people think me and my husband are in jail right now because of this indictment. That is not true. We are in jail right now for fighting for our lives. When we were originally indicted, we were out. Some people, when you get indicted federally, you automatically go to jail while you fight your case. Some people are free. Me and my husband have been free fighting this case. We submitted paperwork to fight for our rights. And because they did not like paperwork that we submitted, they came and kicked our doors down and snatched us out of our homes. They walk into a courtroom and they tell us
minutes remaining on this call.
They walked into that courtroom and told us that we were hiding in the back of a house. No federal marshal ever entered my home. No federal marshal ever had to snatch me or my husband out of the house. We walked out with our hands up. We've been compliant. Every time we go into this courtroom, it's Your Honor, sir, ma'am. They call us disrespectful. They say we're claiming sovereign citizens. We've never claimed to be sovereign. A lot of people have the narrative that we are representing ourselves because the pro se title was forced on us. We can talk about the judge. When we originally went to see the judge for sentencing on September 30th, that judge listened to witness statements. That's no longer an unbiased judge. You listen to witness statements, then decide you're going to throw out a plea that we had already rescinded. And a rescission means we took a plea and then we decided to take it back. I also want to clear the narrative that anyone that signs a plea is guilty. We were coerced into a plea. We had our attorneys that we paid for contact my husband and threaten my husband that they were going to give me separate and additional charges for things if we did not sign a plea, and that they were going to arrest me that day. We decided to sign a plea just to buy ourselves some more time. As soon as we signed that plea, we ended up having the opportunity to meet people that started teaching us about the law and started teaching us about things that we could do to fight for ourselves. I will tell y'all, fighting for yourself is not an easy thing. It is very scary. And it's even more scary when you're innocent and you're being told, hey, if you sign this plea, you can get up to 10 years. We're probably going to give you somewhere around 4, and we're going to let you and your husband serve y'all's time one at a time. That is what they told me and Dre. If you sign this plea,
Your call will end in
10,
1 minute.
Which is a
the
lot.
most that you and your husband is looking at is 10 years. In order to know what you're going to get when it comes to federal time, you have to go and do what's called a PSI, probation sentencing interview. Based off that PSI, they give you a PSR, a probation sentencing report. The report gives the judge guidelines. Back in the 90s and back in the day, the judge had to stay within those guidelines. Judges today can go above or underneath the guidelines. Your PSR report can tell you 3 to 5 years. A judge can give you 1. They can give you 20. They told us, y'all's PSR shouldn't get you any more than 3 or 4. On a 3 to 4 year sentence, you should do anywhere from 1.5 years to 2. And if you have to do time, we'll let y'all do it one at a time. We signed it because we were coerced.
No criminal background.
No criminal background. Once we found out what our rights were, we started fighting. When we started fighting, they came, kicked down that door, brought us to jail. We've been in jail ever since. While we're in jail, for the same plea that they made us sign, which we sent in work to take that plea back, they took us to sentencing September 30th of 2025 with the PSR report giving us points of 42. I want y'all to do y'all's homework on what a PSR report is and how ridiculously insane it is to have the number 42. 42 is looking me and my husband anywhere from 30 to 40 years in jail. Right? We don't sign it. We go to trial. They force a pro se status on us with a Ferretta hearing. Then, to turn back around and correct some of the corruption that they done on the record, they came back and forced standby counsel on us. When we went to trial, we had standby counsel on us. With 9 counts going to trial, they can stack those times on top of each other. Counts 1 through 7 hold 20 years each. Counts 8 and 9 hold 10. If you add that up, that's like, 150 to 180 years? So someone in the comments asked what type of time are we looking at? 35 to life, because we're fighting back. That is what we're looking at right now. You tell me what crime that you guys can think of where even if we done what they said that we done, you deserve to be in jail for life. Don't make it a personal thing. Think about this being your mom or your dad. We went through this civilly. They put money on us civilly to pay people back. How is anybody going to get their money back if we're in jail?
That's insane. 35 to life is what y'all are
Share those statutes. Share those statutes. Get those statutes out there.
Let's talk about some of the statutes. You have a judge who decided to listen to testimony from witnesses, then decide, you know what, I don't like y'all. Go ahead, send them to trial. Well, shouldn't that judge be recused? You got that same judge, and let's keep in mind, the main thing that they talked about in this trial was Ponzi pyramid. During the trial, because I've also heard that there have been a couple of people in the comments who decided to say that they were in court. Nobody came to court. Nobody. No victim, nobody. Y'all are claiming that there were 8,000 victims. There weren't 8,000 victims. They got 4 people to come on that stand in that courtroom. The only people that came in that courtroom for our side or the defense side were my family members. My dad, my sister, my godfather, my kids. Not one person was in that courtroom. So don't let anybody in those comments tell y'all that they were there and that they seen certain things. Not only that, everything that's on the record for us has been sealed. From my understanding, the last time we checked, it's May 2026. Why is everything on our case being sealed for nobody in the public to be able to go get? Why are some of the filings that me and my husband filed no longer showing on the docket? That's a violation.
Give the names of the
You're
judges,
not allowed to
prosecutors. Share the names.
Yes, yeah.
You got Judge Amos Mazant. That's the judge that's on our federal case right now.
What's his
That's
name?
a violation of 28 U.S.C. 455A. Y'all look this up for yourself. Mandatory recusal. Impartiality. Because there's no reason that a judge...
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
There's no way that a judge that listens to victim statements prior to going into a trial is allowed to sit on that case. And here's another thing. I've never been none of our counts have anything to do with Ponzi or pyramid. There is no federal statute for Ponzi or pyramid. That is a case. We are not in state court. We were not allowed to say that in court. Our attorneys were not allowed to let the jury know that that is not a federal statute. But the other side was allowed to use those terms over and over and over. Do you know that those terms were also put into the jury instructions? I'm not for sure if the coalition has had the opportunity to, but every single thing that I get, I'm able to send home. The full jury instructions, if anybody wants to take a look at those, contact the coalition. They'll send them to you. I want you to take a look at the jury instructions that they gave to 12 of my so-called peers, which were not peers. And I want you to tell me how in any shape, fashion, or form anybody was to walk out of that courtroom without 9 counts of being considered guilty.
I want y'all to slow those names down. Those judges' names got to be slowed down, and the prosecutors. People need to go and look this stuff up. You need to tell what's going on. That's the whole purpose of this exercise. You need to go research this stuff on their own.
Yes. And can we say
I'll let you tap in, babe.
Yes. Let's give that info. Hey, Sap. Did we lose him?
We might have lost him. He might not have been able to.
Got you. So do you want to give out the names once again?
The name of the judge that's sitting on our case, his name is Judge Amos Mazant. From what he's told us, I think he's been a federal judge for 11 years.
Your call will end in 1 minute.
I don't remember the exact number, but I think he said he's done like 168, 170 court cases. I want y'all to look up case law, Kane versus Tennessee. Misapplication of victim statements are authorized only post-conviction. That's case law. So when I tell y'all that a judge that should have been recused from our case is the one that ran the trial, those are facts. I want y'all to think about having a family member. I think in our community, in the black community, everybody has an uncle, a cousin, somebody who's been through something, whether it's a drug-related offense or domestic about something. But regardless to what a person does, due process and a fair trial is something that everybody is entitled to. That's not what we have been given, even up until this day. Prior to us going to trial, when they forced the standby counsel on us, do you know that they wouldn't allow us to meet to prep?
Oh, did we lose her? Okay. They're probably going to dial right back in. Once again, they are facing 35 to life.
Can y'all hear me?
You put a poll up. Yeah, ASAP, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, I think we lost your wife. She was
Yeah, we talked about the judge name. Stay on them judge's name and stay on those 40 due process violations Shonda was just going over. I want you to kind of piggyback on what she was saying about those 40 due process violations, 40 plus.
And real quick question. Yeah. Are y'all in the same facility? That's what they want to know. Are y'all locked up in the same facility?
No, we're not in the same facility. We're actually like 10 minutes down the street from each other, though. Same county.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I know I might have missed what she said. I might repeat even what she said, but yes, there's over 40 due process violations, human rights violations, civil rights violations that we're dealing with right now in this whole case. You know, which is crazy. I mean, we're talking about conspiracy against rights, which is 18 U.S.C. 241. We're talking about deprivation of rights. 18 U.S.C. 242, witness tampering, 18 U.S.C. 1512. Now, the witness tampering, this that happened in court was, I've never seen anything like it before. We had witnesses that were ready to testify in our favor, and before they can get up there and testify, the government basically told them, if you get up here and you say anything positive, you know, we might be opening up cases or charges on you as well. And so at that point, our witnesses didn't even want to testify anymore. They couldn't, you know, and just things like that that are unseen, unheard, that no one gets a chance to even be aware of. Those are the things that we're dealing with. And so, you know, like my wife said before, you know, we're also dealing with the judge who's dealing with he's biased. He should have been recused from the stand the minute he heard those victim impact statements without sentencing us. You know, and it's just a lot that just piles up on these violations. You know, we can talk all day on these. I believe that one's 18 USC 455. You know, there's also the 18 USC 1001, which is material false statements. They have all these false claims of direct payment and false victim narratives submitted to investigators and fake, you know, loss claims. All these things are adding up. And so it's very important to know that, yeah, you guys see one part of it in the media and the press and people are talking about it, but these are the things that no one's talking about. All these different violations. You know, one of the things, like I said, they charged us with wire fraud. Well, in the jury instructions, they took away that you have to prove intent in the jury instructions. And you know, that's something that you can't change what the law says when you give it to the jury. You know, these are things that continuously happen over and over and over. Look at a case law on that is Ernst & Ernst versus Holzberger, 425 U.S. 185, 1976. They charge you with wire fraud, and then the government basically, you know, they have to prove the intent to defraud, not just participation in a system that later fails. So the government removed the requirement of intent for the jury instructions, and that's a structural error. You know, jury instructions that misstate the law or any elements of the offense, you know, that verdict is invalid regardless of evidence. So these are things that we're dealing with and no one's talking about. So that's one of the main reasons is we have to come on here, we have to shine light on these violations that's going on every day. This is a one-sided fight, and we can't do it by ourselves.
So let's talk about that.
I think my husband, just to add to what he said, I think he has a great point. It's not a fight that we're able to do by ourselves. And there's so much still, even on this phone call, that we haven't been able to give to you guys. But one thing that I want to make sure everybody knows before we end this phone call, you all may not have all of the information, but the government does. They know everything. They have suppressed every Google account, anything that we have. And what you have to understand is there's a thing called the Brady Rule. It's, I think it's Brady versus Maryland, 373 U.S. 83, 1963. Suppression of evidence is a bad faith action. If you have evidence that's favorable to the accused, you are not allowed to suppress that if you are a state or government official. There's also case law, Kyle versus Whitney, 1995. You must disclose all evidence, and you cannot turn a blind eye to anything that you have. That's a part of why when my husband says he doesn't trust or we don't trust attorneys, during the trial, let's back it up to before the trial. Every attorney that we would go and have consultations with, everybody was trying to bust our heads to take this case. 150, 200, 175, 125. It's like, whoa, like where are these numbers coming from, right? But you had a government that submitted 71,000 items into evidence. There was not 71,000 items presented in trial. So within all of the stuff that they, went and did all these subpoenas on, do you think that they presented anything that allowed them to know the truth? But everything that they have, the so-called attorneys, they get to know what's all, you know, inside of those 71,000 pieces of evidence. While we were sitting at the trial table, my husband ends up pulling the binder from his de facto attorney, and he's looking through this binder. And the attorney's not paying him any attention. And when he looks in this binder, he sees not only do they have every single bank account that we had during the time of BINT, they subpoenaed bank accounts from up to 3 years prior to BINT ever being started. The U.S. Postal Inspector that they put on the stand, her name is Anna Hostin, she admitted, we know that refunds were sent. When in cross-examination, they asked her, how many refunds were extended? Oh, we don't know that. But you know how much money came in? Well, how much money was given back in refunds? Oh, we don't know that. It wasn't her exact words, it wasn't our job to look at how much was given back. It was our job to look at the crime. Or was it your job to create a narrative for a crime? She admitted on the stand refunds were given. And she has no documentation of what anybody else gave. So when she says she knows refunds were given, that means she knows refunds were given from us personally. And that's not inclusive of what was refunded to individuals from other people that were in the group as well. There's no way for you guys to look into a binder, and they have our tax records where they see the money that we collected for the business and the money that we collected on the boards. We paid taxes on that. Do you think that that was presented in the court? Do you think that the full bank records were submitted in the court? No, they did summaries and charts. And they paid expert witnesses to come in and break down certain things. They had one expert witness that they put on the stand. As of November of 2025, this expert witness had made $58,000 to analyze our bank records. That was November of 2025. So how much more money do you think she got paid to be in trial? And she admitted on the stand she's getting paid $350 per hour to testify for the government. They are a witness that the government puts on. They've been working for the government for the past couple years. To date, they've made $10.8 million being witnesses for the government. So you tell me why the government would pay $70,000 for a witness to get up there. And this is a second witness because you have a U.S. Postal Inspector, and her name was Anna Hostin, and this lady's name was Mary Robinson. I think the name of the company was Stout. So you have a U.S. Postal Inspector who didn't know how much we gave back in refunds, and you have been researching our case for the past 2 to 3 years. And then you have a woman named Mary Lee Robinson that works for a company called Stout, and we're just going to guess that at this point while she was on the stand and the clock was still rolling for her to be paid, you've been paid $70,000+ to go through our bank records. And in cross-examination, when they ask you, how many people did they refund? Oh, I don't know the number, but you do know that there was refunds issued, and the answer was yes. You don't know how many people, you don't know the number, but you just know that it exists. What the hell were you paid $70,000 for?
That's interesting. So the next question I have is, you said y'all are having issues fighting, right? What are y'all doing to get help to fight your case?
Well, first and foremost, we're being vocal about it now. You know, we're making sure that, you know, you're a big part of that right now. You know, making sure that we talk to people like you yourself to make sure people know the truth, people know what's really going on. I think we've been quiet on, you know, we had to really work up the courage to even do this, because even, you know, is like you said, it's scary, right? You know, we're going up against a system that has technically, you know, been abusive of our people for so long. You know, even our families are like, hey man, you guys just need to stop talking, because if you guys talk, they keep on talking, they're going to give you more time. Like, we're our own families.
Is that not a concern? Is that not a concern?
Of course it is. Of course it's a concern. But do we stop talking? Do we just allow, you know, them to do whatever they want to do with us? You know, just even us being innocent. You know, I always look at, you know, just look at the Bible and what Jesus did. You know, he went to the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, and the devil tempted him. He didn't make a deal with the devil. You know, like there has to be some point to where you stand up and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm not going to allow this narrative to keep on going and growing.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
You know, there has to be a point to where we stand up and we fight.
So let's
Talk about
petition.
too how many people were actually blessed out, and the fact that they have your family members as so-called victims on the government victim list. Those are very important details that people need to hear as well. How many people actually made money in BINT that you all did not know personally? The large number of people that made money, and also how many people that you know, or approximately, that potentially did not. And it's nowhere near the number that the government has now padded and fabricated.
For sure. Yeah, I think I spoke to that earlier. There's over 5,000 people that have been blessed out that it worked for. You know, that it actually worked for. We know for sure. You know, we had a group of just around 8,000 people, so that maybe like 3,000 people that it did not work for. And like I said, you know, we it's unfortunate. You know, we're not happy about that at all. We want to make sure that, you know, that is aware that we speak to that as well. But as far as what the government is saying, the government has they have our family members, they have friends, they have people that are on the list. In one of their documents, they say it's 12,000 people.
Recorded.
They said 12,000 people. We know that we only had around 8,000 people. And then they have all these numbers by these people's names that we know for a fact they were blessed out, documented as a loss. That's false documentation, you know? And
Your call will end in 1 minute.
They told us in trial that they did not ask anyone who was a witness for any type of proof that they lost any money. So that means anyone off the street, someone that was not even involved, could basically jump on this list and say that they lost money. How is that justice?
That's great. Real quick. How do
I'm gonna hang up.
You gonna come back? All right, cool.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm here. I think it's good that we're kind of staggering the call, so whenever he's not there, I'm here. I just got that
talk
going.
through the chat. Are you watching the chat? Are you looking at the chat? It's mixed. It's a
Me?
lot of mixed. Yeah, are you looking at the chat right now? And shout out to you. Can you introduce
now
yourself?
You know I'm in.
Because you do a lot of good work for the people. So introduce yourself. I want to tell them who we're talking to right now.
This is
What you
Shonda.
do for the community?
Oh no, this is
my bad.
actually
Shonda's still on the phone?
this is Concerned Citizens Coalition.
I thought you was gone.
This is Concerned Citizens Coalition, and yeah, we're here just in the background supporting. We know that this needs to be heard, and people need to calm down on their emotional responses and really listen and learn, because this could be them, and they could come to us and need help as well. Because we're here for the community, for our community.
What made you take this case in particular?
I've gotten to know the Moores on a person. I was a part of BINT. And I lost in BINT. I didn't make anything in BINT. However, I knew that the Moores didn't do what they claimed they did. And I also knew that they didn't intend to defraud anyone. Because I was there. I was there on the Zoom. I understood that they were running a business because myself, I'm an entrepreneur. So I understand how business work, and I understand how business are ran. And I know they were trying to do something for our people, which me and my husband have the same heart like they do. And sometimes our community don't know how to act, unfortunately, and we can mess things up. Now, a lot of times we invested in these groups around the COVID time. We lost in about 5 weeks ourselves.
Accepting the call. Press 2 for rejecting the call.
We actually lost
This call may be monitored or recorded.
And so we knew that it was a gamble. Anything you do like this is a gamble, just like the lottery, just like the casino. You actually are going to, potentially lose. The house is going to win. Now, I'm not saying that's what they started out to do, because I don't believe they did. I believe this is a huge mission to help bring wealth to the Black community. And unfortunately, when the infrastructure is not foundationally solid when you're growing. You have to meet that demand, and that's kind of what occurred here. I saw it with my own two eyes, and I believe they're innocent. I've seen it, me and my husband, our team behind us. We all have studied this frontwards and backwards, and there was no intent to defraud anyone. And so even being a part of this and losing, I just want people that are spewing this, hate and that may be lost to really take a step back, meditate, look at these statutes, listen to the Moores, hear what happened to them, because at the end of the day, it's not about guilt or innocence. There's no judge in the history of judges that can do what this judge did, no matter if you committed a murder or whatever you've done. So you have to know the law, because you can find yourself in the same situation. And again, you may need our help one day. As a community, we're here, and we're going to keep supporting them and keep supporting other people like them.
I want to also say this, because I know that there are a lot of people that have wanted to support my husband and I, but they've seen the crucifixion that we went through, and it makes them scared to do that. But I also want to say this. I also see certain people that have decided to continue rocking with me and my husband, and they get trolled. When it comes to the woman that you guys just spoke to, she has not been bought and paid for. Like she said, she was in BINT, did not know her. I want to give just a little bit of background on how we met her so that there's no narratives even going around about that. She was in BINT. We had been indicted, and this has been maybe a year and a half ago. She jumps in my DM just as a supporter. She dropped her number. I responded back. I ignored it. We come back a whole year after that. She jumps in my DMs again, because at this particular time, the government is sending out emails trying to get people to, say that they're victims. They're steady reaching out to her, as well as a lot of other people who would reach out to me and say, hey, the government is telling me I'm a victim, and I'm not. They got me on this list. I've told them to stop contacting me. She reached out to me a second time, and this time I was actually having a bad morning. I had just dropped my daughter off at school, and I seen, she's contacted me once before. And the last time she contacted me, she left her phone number, so I called her. She forgot that she even gave me her number. And the rest has been history since then. Every single thing that we have said on this phone, as well as a lot of other things that we just haven't had the opportunity to say, she has personally went on Pacer and looked at the docket. She's looked at the documents. We've submitted every single thing that our attorneys have had, and some. So when she says she knows what's going on, it's not because she's friends with us or she thinks it's cool to hang out with us. Let's be real. We're not the cool kids to hang out with right now. She's literally doing this because she's done the research, right, which is all we're asking everyone else to do, is the research.
That's what's up.
That's real important.
Real quick, Shonda, how would you advise people to go about doing the research?
There's a lot of different steps into doing the research, because there's so much. I will say the coalition has done a really, really, really good job at putting some information together. Did Sandra send you the QR code for the link tree so people can see how to get involved on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, the website?
Put the link in the chat right now.
The email address.
I'm going to pin it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, put it in the chat. I'm going to pin it.
Right.
So go ahead, talk about it. I'm going to pin it, so anybody that wants to check it out, they're going to click on that link, go to the link tree. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Another thing that everyone is allowed to do is to go and create what's called a Pacer account. On that Pacer account, you're allowed to go look up any federal case. Y'all can go look up every single thing that's been submitted from our side and from the prosecution side. So when we tell y'all there's things that we submitted and they just taken it off the record, you may see something where it may have certain items that are supposed to be there and they're just missing. Some of those things are sealed for privacy purposes. Some of those things are just completely missing. Why are our filings missing? Why are the things that Dre and I filed for our human and our civil rights, why are those things no longer on the docket? Why don't they want the public to know that? And to be honest, if you go to Pacer right now and try to pull anything off me and Dre's case, I don't know. They might change it after this interview. They won't even allow the public to see anything until May 2026. Why? Why all of a sudden did y'all decide to just seal stuff? Everything, not just the classified information. Everything. Go look it up for yourself. It's free to create an account.
Yeah, and also just to clarify what you said, when you go to pacer.gov and you go and look at the actual docket, you'll see things on the docket, and every docket, every entry is numbered. So there may be, 47, 48, 49, those things pop up, but 50, 51, 52, those are blank for some reason. And, they no one knows why, but those are the filings that we file, but they just don't want the public to be able to view them. And so that's very, that's very misleading. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't not post our things on the docket when those are things that are being blocked. And which is another violation in itself.
So, one of the things that I want to know, right, is how do people help if they do want to help?
Well, yeah, we first and foremost, man, we appreciate any help that we can get at all. The biggest thing is, reach out to the Concerned Citizens Coalition. They have a 1-800 number if you have anything that you can provide, and I'll give you that 1-800 number here shortly. And we also have a change petition that you can go and you can, go online and fill out the change petition as well, just to say that you support us. And that's going to be on my page. If you just, send us a DM, send me a DM to my page, Accept the Mogul, and the Concerned Citizens are checking that, and they're helping us, fill in those needs. Also send letters of support. That 1-800 number you can talk to the Concerned Citizens is 1-888 308-4775.
And also, I'm dropping this in the chat as well. If they have letters of support, if you had a good experience with BINT and you made money, please send your support letter. If you actually had experience with the Moores personally, them, send a letter of support. That any support and love y'all can show to them right now means a lot. We're reading these letters to them. They're having, this keeping them uplifted and very, very positive. Just all hugs around them right now. And I keep going back to the fact that this could be you. This could be your family. This could be someone that maybe already in a situation. So just understand this is not just about the Moores. This is about our community. What they started out with, that's what this is about. They started BINT because of the community. And that's what we're continuing to do, is build up our community.
Okay. What I want to do is open the floor for you guys. I know there were some things that Shonda said there's some things that we haven't got to. What are some things that we haven't got to that you want to address before we go to Q&A?
Yeah, Shonda, maybe I'll let you go first on that.
I'm not for sure.
I want to answer this question. Someone keeps asking this question. Jennifer Ferguson,
okay,
300.
Yeah, I was gonna. Let me pick.
Yeah. She's asked it several times about why Shonda was actually doing what she was doing on the board. I said this in my chat. If she go back up and read my comment about Shonda's responsibilities to run the boards manually, this is why Connect Me was needed. It was because it was too much. They were up 20 hours a day manually running boards.
You have
so people can get paid out.
minutes remaining on this call.
So people that are in these comments saying things that they should have been a part of and witnessed, and they're not saying those things, it's very disheartening too. So if you were there, they spent several hours on end running these boards manually, where they had to get a software involved so they could be automated. That's why Connect Me was created.
Okay. Back to you, Shonda.
I actually think I want to open up the floor.
Okay.
I think let's go ahead. The people are asking questions. Let's go ahead and open up the floor.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna open up the floor for questions. Let's go ahead and put that in the chat. Let me scroll up. Let me see if I see one real quick. With all the BS says, a key issue in the Moore's case is that a complete lack of evidence proving intent to defraud, which is required element for the charge. So we have someone saying that basically they were unable to prove that you guys were actually trying to defraud people? Put your questions in the chat. If you have any questions, now is the time.
But yet, to that statement, that is 100% correct. They were never able to prove the intent to defraud. They actually removed. They removed that instruction in the jury instructions to basically give them the right to, come up with a guilty verdict based off without intent, which is illegal.
Okay, I have somebody asked about the kids. How are the kids doing?
Oh man, the kids are great. I will say that, man. We have some really, really strong girls, man. I'm so proud of them for going through this with us. We talk to them every day. We just know that they are just super strong, and they're proud of us because they see us fighting. And my little man, he's almost 2 years old now. Unfortunately, when all this happened, when they kicked our door in, he was 10 months. So, we've been in here for 10 months now. So, him growing up not around his mom and his dad, that hurts. And it's almost like I'm glad he's too young to know.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
But they are in good spirits.
Somebody asked on TikTok, are y'all remorseful?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And I just want to make sure they heard me when I said this is, something that we never intended for this to happen. And I hope they could hear the remorse in my voice. This is something we never intended for this to happen. Like I said, it worked for so many people. We know it did not work for some. And, we apologize for any hurt, any loss, anything that hurt anyone, because that was never our intention. So I hope they know that.
I want to piggyback on my husband's response. That was a great answer, babe. A great answer. But I want to add a little bit to it. I want our community to heal from this. This wasn't just about a loss of money. For me and my husband, there has been fallout in relationships from people that stood beside us at our wedding, people that we've grown up with. I have, still to this day, I'm having arguments with my family and some of my close friends about all of us just having different ideas and ideologies about how we should fight this. I personally have had so much turnover when it comes to relationships. And what I've also learned, so many other people that were involved in BINT experienced the same thing. That's something that, I still sometimes have a hard time swallowing because I'm still dealing with some of that myself on the back end. There are so many individuals who've lost relationships or friendships, or they're mad at somebody that invited them to the group, or why did you get paid and I didn't, or why do you have this and I didn't. I've seen other people have breakdowns in
Your call will end in 1 minute.
And that's a big thing that I'm very remorseful for. I don't want people falling out. And anybody that has lost a relationship, or they're going through something with somebody because of what all of this caused, a disagreement, you didn't see eye to eye, y'all give each other some grace. And I'm not saying that y'all got to reconcile, because maybe some of those arguments gave you an eye-opening opportunity to see a person for who they really were, and that's just not what you want to rock with anymore. I totally understand that. But there is a thing called forgiveness that can be extended to somebody without reconciliation. And forgiveness is not about the other person. That's about you. That's about being able to see that person, not wish anything bad on that person, and move on with your life, and not let that evil or that envy or that jealousy or that hate or whatever, fill in the blank, not let that rule inside of who you are. We got to come together as a community. Jail has literally taught me that on a totally different level, because there's so many other women that I've got to listen to some of their stories, and everybody that has been indicted, y'all, they are not guilty. Some of these people are. Some of them are. But even some of the ones who've done what they've been accused of, the treatment and the violations that they've, had to endure, it's not right. But I'm super remorseful for just the breakdown in relationships that I've seen have on people. And my request for everybody not only is to extend me and my husband some grace, but extend it to each other.
Okay. I have Momo Money asks, why didn't y'all shut the program down when y'all noticed it start glitching?
You want to go first, honey? Or you want me to go?
I don't think she's on here.
Okay. Some of the glitches that started happening initially were things that we just thought that we could overcome. Like I said, being super ambitious, super driven, and I think we just always held on to the fact that this actually works. One of the witnesses that the government put on the stand, one of the 4 witnesses that was in BINT, she said out of her own mouth, these things work. They're actually good for the community. So I guess just being overly ambitious and thinking, hey, it's just a rough patch, we're going to get over it. It's just a rough patch, we're going to get over it. Half of our destruction was some of the bugs that happened with Connect Me. And I spent a long time, me personally, being mad at Nehemiah and wanting to, like, had this not happened, and had this not happened, and had this not happened, then BINT would still be, no, there was so much going on. There were so many different things happening. And one thing that I've learned from Sandra and her husband and some of their mentorship is nothing happens or doesn't happen unless God has willed it to happen that way. So I'm trying my best not to live in woulda, shoulda, coulda. But to answer your question, thinking that we were going to be able to get over it based off of certain promises that we were being given on the back end about the software. And we still had a lot of support at that time. We had so much support from the community. Even when people were trying to leave or were doing things to attack the community, we still had so much support of people that, had our backs to keep the community going. That's what made us continue, though.
Okay. Let's see. I got Eclipse says, what questions do you think y'all should have asked earlier when the program was introduced to you, and what prevented those questions from coming up?
That's a really good question. Questions that we should have asked earlier. How long was it taking y'all to make these freaking boards? That was definitely a much bigger job than you can even imagine, because 2 boards splits to 4, 4 splits to 8, 8 splits, the number just keeps doubling and keeping up with the information. And then once a board splits, you got to find, okay, well, this board split into this board, and just tracking the information. We should have just done more due diligence on the administrative side of the manual work that it took to make everything work. Definitely should have done way, way, way more research on that before we decided to jump into this. And what prevented us from asking those questions, while it may sound, very selfish, I can admit, I have to be honest and say, it felt good when I would see this work for other people. That's why I wasn't asking certain questions like, hey, yeah, this is hard, but man, this is helping somebody. Let me keep going. Ooh, this is helping somebody else. Let me keep going. And I never thought that my capacity was going to be stretched the way that it was stretched. I don't think I even stopped to slow down to think about the turmoil that it would have on me as an individual, as well as a mother and as a wife, because me and my husband had so many, headbutting situations behind trying to help other people. And it's like, now, what we look like fighting, and we doing this for somebody else. I think the fact that it felt good to see this working for so many people. We just never stopped to slow down to think about, what it was going to do to us long term.
I think also to add to that, it felt good creating something, to your point, that was helping others, right? Because I remember the vibe in the group at that time. Everyone was happy. Everyone was communicating. We had chat rooms. We had chat rooms for singles to people to meet. We had a networking chat where if you wanted to share your business and your business ideas, or gain new customers, there was things in there, chat rooms that were catered to that specific need. We had people in there literally helping each other, and it was good to see all of us come together, for a common cause to do just that. And so, just everyone. I remember we used to get people would be up in the chat like literally 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I remember we just having to cut our notifications off because, like, hey, we're not going to be able to get anything done. Just from people just loving the community. And so having something that strong, that powerful was a great feeling, to see all of us coming together for a common cause.
Man. All right, let me go to Trill. He says, with the charge being wire fraud, were they not able to trace the money and show how it was used?
Yeah. Like my wife said, they came with their expert witnesses and expert accountants, and we had our own forensic accountants. The money was never, for one, in the case of wire fraud, you have to prove that they came from ill-gotten funds or with an intent to defraud. And they were never able to prove that. They have every single transaction, every line by line you can think of, and we didn't go out and buy cars and vehicles or jewelry or anything like that, anything crazy. The bulk of the money, and I just want to make sure everyone knows that the most money that was made came from the Connect Me commission that we received. Like I said before, we received a $35 commission from each person that was in the community from Connect Me. Connect Me, there was an $85 charge. Connect Me received $50. We got $35. That is the bulk of the money. And it's weird because if that is what you're calling an ill-gotten fund, then we weren't the ones to receive it. People never paid us the Connect Me fee directly. It went directly to Connect Me, and the Connect Me wrote us a commission check. If those funds are not ill-gotten or illegal, how can you charge us for the money that we received from Connect Me? It doesn't make sense.
I also want to add to my husband when he talks about the charges. You guys are allowed. I don't know, Sandra, if you or Jeff or somebody has the ability to.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
If somebody has the ability to drop the link in the chat where they can see the 9 counts for themselves, these counts aren't exactly what you think they are. So it might be conspiracy or money laundering or wire fraud, but you got to break down what the charge says. Like, one specific charge is one person out of the group paid $85. I think count 3. One person in the group paid $85 to Connect Me, and they're giving us a charge for that. Another charge is us paying off our house. Another charge is one person in the group paying my husband. I got charged for that, and he got charged for it. Another charge is we making a payment on. You made a payment to your credit card from your bank account to your credit card. That's a charge. So when y'all hear wire fraud conspiracy, it's conspiracy for making a credit card payment with your money to your credit card payment. I want y'all to actually take a look at what these charges are for. None of them have anything to do with 25 million, 30 million, 40 million, Ponzi scheme. I want y'all to just take a look at the charges for yourself.
Also, can you talk to a little bit, because I'm getting a lot of comments in here about these refunds. That one thing I want to say too, many people was a part of it, but they didn't understand what they were a part of. And I too was a part of it, and they didn't understand the boards, they didn't understand your refund process. And it really wasn't for them to fully get a full understanding of it. However, because we're black, and when you're black people don't have really sympathy for one another, so they're going to be more harder. Like, they're not going to be hard on them losing money with the casino or the lotteries or anything of that nature. Even if they've got promised something, they just won't, because they're not going to do that with them. They're going to do that with each other. So you want to make sure you explain this slowly so they can get a good understanding of what your refund process is like. So I'm seeing a lot of that. The casino
Your call will end in
blah, blah, blah,
minutes.
that kind of stuff. They need to get a good understanding, because most of them didn't know what they were a part of, and I can really tell by their questions. So if you stop and not talk and really relax and let your emotions stop driving you, you can learn some things today. But if you keep letting your emotions drive you, you're going to keep being in the same ignorant position. No offense. Ignorance just means you just don't know. But if you really want to learn, calm down and listen. You got to go over that refund process because they don't know.
Yeah, let's go through that.
Yeah, I'll definitely go over the refunds. Let's talk about the refunds again. When someone came into the community, they were placed on a board. They were placed on that board depending on who invited them. They got behind that person, and that person in the middle spot, that water position on that board, there would be 8 outer spots on that board, which were called fires. Those 8 fires would pay that one water position $1,400 each. That equals $11,200. That person in that water position would then, they have the opportunity, they can get back in, they can do it all over again. They cannot. They can say they're done. And all these boards, they have different people in the water because they've moved up. So when you started the fire, the next thing after you make your $1,400 blessing to the water, you move up and you're a win. And then once that board splits and more people are added to the fires on the next board, you move up again, and now you're an earth. And then once that board splits and more people are added to the fire position, now you're water. Now it's your turn. So then 8 other strangers would send you blessings of $1,400. That's exactly how this worked. So I want to make sure that people understand exactly how the movement worked. You had to be a fire, then a wind, then earth, then a water. That's how it worked. When you got into that water position, that is when you received your 8 payments of $1,400 from 8 total. There may be 8 total different strangers you do not know. When we first started this, we had a huge demand. Like I said, we had a waiting room of almost 3,000 people waiting to get in, and we had too many people and not enough boards at that time. But you have to wait for the boards to split so those spaces can open up. When those people that were waiting to get in, if someone said, you know what, someone that was on the board and they had a spot, and let's say they were a win, let's say, you know what, they got cold feet, I don't want to do this anymore, I want my money back, I want a refund. Then they would contact an admin, and an admin would say, okay, let's process your refund. They would then go to the waiting room and say, hey, we have a spot open. Who wants to buy a win spot? At that time, 200 people will respond in like a minute, 2 minutes. And they would say, hey, I want to buy this win spot. And then that admin would connect a person that's on the board with that new person that's been in the waiting room. And then they would send them the $1,400 directly. It wouldn't come to us. It wouldn't go to anyone else. It would go directly to that person who's the owner of that spot. That was a refund. That is how the refunds worked. There's no way for us to refund someone something that we did not get. And I hope that answers the question of the refund.
I have on Twitter, I'm not on TikTok, rather. They're asking about, is it true that y'all paid off y'all's mortgages and went to Cabo with the money? Because I think that's the gripe that they're having with this Oya's 360s having.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So when we, I believe it was January 2021, I believe, maybe later than that, maybe March. Yes, we did pay off our house. We paid off our house with the money that was given to us by Connect Me. Like I said before, no, people didn't pay us.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
At that time, we needed to try to find some way that we could keep it going, keep it alive without going through and completely demolishing our assets. We knew that we had to do something in order to keep the business up and running. So therefore, we had an asset in our house that was not from. We never made enough money from the boards to ever pay off our house. You can go in and see in the, I believe it might be on Pacer. You see exactly how much we received from Connect Me. We received $1.2 million from Connect Me for a commission check. If we received $1.2 million, that means Connect Me received almost $4 million. We did go to Cabo. The Cabo was for we had a company trip that was planned for Cabo for Thanksgiving. We went to Cabo and we all worked from Cabo for Thanksgiving. It was not a fun, kind of like relaxed trip. We all worked, and that's why we brought the whole admin team to Cabo to work and to make sure that we were processing and still moving everything. Like I said, y'all, we were working 20 hours a day trying to get this thing going, trying to get it up and running, trying to make sure that we sustained it. So there's no secret about any of that.
I have somebody in here asking about how are they treating y'all in the actual where y'all are at right now in jail.
Your call will end in 1 minute.
As far as the inmates, I'm good. Like I've met a lot of great guys in here. A lot of guys that are fighting their case just like me. A lot of guys that are, just dealing with the injustices of the system, of the justice system. As far as the guards, that's a different situation. Everyone, different guards have different personalities. But I'm always been respectful with everybody that I meet, and but as far as my wife, she's had other situations that have happened with a certain guard that has escalated, and so we have to address that as well.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. She's Condit asked about the kill switch button.
Yeah.
They said they had, saying we wouldn't lose our money even if no one bought the spot.
I think my husband dropped off, but I'm still here. So
Gotcha.
Just to go back to finish the first question, I'm not for sure about the kill switch. I'll get a little bit more information on that. But as far as how I'm being treated, I get along really, really good with everybody in my pod. I know it was a big thing when I got locked up. Most girls were trying to say, I'm in my soft girl era. I've been in my spiritual girl era since I've been in here. I was actually on that road prior to being incarcerated, but having this much time on my hands, I've been able to dive into it in a totally different way. I've met a lot of really awesome women in here, got to hear some of their stories. Some of their stories are, believe it or not, even more messed up than mine. Me and the girls that I have in here, I'm really big on trying to get people into praying and fasting, teaching them who we are, what our identity in the Bible is. We actually fast every Tuesday and Friday in my pod, which is something Sandra and her husband got me and Dre doing prior to us being incarcerated. I'm treated really well by the women in here. Like my husband said, with the guards, that is a little bit of a different story because they have different personalities. He did mention that there's a situation that happened with me and one guard. I haven't even really had the opportunity to tell my family about it, but I do know that it was mentioned, I think, in another interview. But I was sexually assaulted by a guard 2 days before the trial started, which is something that we're dealing with. That was reported to a couple people the day that it happened. I haven't talked to anybody else about it since, so we'll kind of see how that plays out. I'm fine. And just to make sure that because I know when my family hears this, they're going to go crazy. When the situation happened, she done it in a way trying to be slick and immediately tried to correct it. It was handled. Do I think it will happen again? No, because I make a really, really big noise anytime anything crazy happens with me in jail. The warden knows every piece of who me and my husband are, and they know that we have people on the outside helping us. So a lot of things have kind of calmed down since I brought issue with that. But I would like to say, if anyone knows anyone that works in the PREA department, PREA stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. Let them know that my case has not been taken care of. No one has come and talked to me. No one has come and questioned me. I don't know if they're still doing an open investigation, and the guard that committed that assault is still working at Fannin County Detention Center.
Yep. I'm going to drop some of these statutes in the chat for those that are interested to know more and go look these up. I'm going to drop just a couple of them in here. Very important to know. Shonda, I want to ask Shonda a question too.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
It was a question that came up. If you don't mind sharing how when the board split, and you may not be able to talk to this because this is, some things that maybe, I don't know if you want to say anything about it, but when the boards were splitting and how it got kind of chaotic there at the end of the board, when the board started to split and you guys were trying to play firemen to put all these fires out that was happening. And one thing I want to make a point of too, when you're in Primerica and these other groups and, when you go into these different, multi-level marketing organizations, you have to build a team. So anybody that goes into these things, no matter if you were told, okay, yeah, we can have fires or whatever for you, or you guys are going to get a refund, those are things that initially when you came in, there was a lot of hype, a lot of participation. So it warranted that. Like any other new business would do, we have grand openings and things are supercharged, and so things can be more accommodated. As you grow, things level out, things do change. And we don't have an unforgiving mindset for Amazon and Walmart, all these big companies who have the same similar mindset. They've had to change the course of direction mid-process, mid-procedure. And you go in that store and you be like, oh, man, I used to be able to get a refund back without my ID. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do all these things. Is that making sense? So you have to be able to look at this from a business perspective. It's what the Moores were attempting to do. It just grew too fast, too quick, and they couldn't support the infrastructure because of the numbers and the dynamics that came with that. So, but I want you to talk a little bit about, if you can, Shonda, about that splitting of the boards. That's very, very important to talk about a little bit, because how did they split and why some people weren't paid out during that process of the chaos when they did split?
I'm not really, I don't know if I really know what to say to that question. To be honest with you, what exactly is it that they're wanting me to answer? I don't understand the question.
Okay, I know how it works. Somebody's saying, this is Jennifer again, Ferguson, 300. I'm asking, why did our board keep splitting but never went to the center and get paid?
Some boards were able to move faster than others, depending on if the outermost layer of that board was filled with fires. Some people, participated and they hustled.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
They were able to get their own fires, so those boards would move a lot more quickly. There were other boards where we would have to try to help fill that outermost layer, so they took longer. And in order for you to go from being a person on the outermost layer to an individual that's in the middle so that you receive payment, a board has to split, I think it's three or four times. So a board may split. A board splitting one time doesn't put you in the center. A board splits and you go from being a fire to a wind. That's split number 1. Then when that board splits, you go from being a wind to an earth. That's split number 2. Split number 3, you go into the water position. And even once you hit the water position, that board itself is still not going to split until that outermost layer of fires is filled. I hope that answers that question.
Jennifer, let us know if that answers the question.
looks like Dre probably is not going to be able to come back and join us. We have, right now, just to let everybody know, I don't know how much longer I'm even going to be able to have this phone. We just recently switched phone systems. So with this integration, we used to have tablets, so everybody was able to talk on their own tablet. And right now, in my pod, I have a pod of women that holds 8, and we're all sharing one phone. Dre is in a pod that holds 22, and they're sharing 2 phones. So if he's been gone this long, that must mean he's not able to get back on the phone. People in our pods did allow us a little bit of a time block, and I think we're over that time block. I'm going to stay on as long as I can, but I would imagine
your call will end in 1 minute.
All right,
I'll hang up and I'll call right back. I do think that I have time for one more, so let me see if I can
let's do it.
get it there.
All right, guys, we got 15 more minutes. Oh, did we lose them all together? All right, I think we lost them all together, y'all. How do y'all feel about what they were saying? Are you buying it? It looks like she's definitely ain't. What do y'all think about what they're saying? Put it in there. I want to hear what y'all think. We're gonna give them some time to call back. 35 to life. Do you feel that's fair? Okay, on TikTok, let's talk about the evidence. What's the evidence? Put the evidence in the chat. 35 to life. Do y'all think that is too much time, or is that justified? So she says she will call back. Shonda will call back. We might have lost ASAP. But if he said that's horrible. Yeah, it is crazy. 35 to life is crazy. But if they do call back, put your questions in here. Are y'all surprised they even did this interview? That they addressed it? Put your thoughts. I just want to hear what y'all think. Someone says you're away. Oh, DJ Chaotic says you're awaiting federal sentences. Did you worry this interview could affect it? That's a good question. Chelsea Renee says 35 to life is crazy. Yeah. Please make sure this is posted on YouTube. We on YouTube right now. I want to go back and watch the full video. Oh yeah. Nah, it's on YouTube right now, but yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube. This is for the TikTok audience. Yeah, I really want to know what y'all think. Oh, here we go. Hold on. You back on?
Here.
You there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. We're back.
We're back.
Right. Oh, we got both of y'all?
Yeah, we're both back.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All
yeah.
Right. We got the team back. All right.
Just out of curiosity, Joe, how many people we got?
Right now we got 1,300 on TikTok. We got 100 on the YouTube right now, going up and down.
Got you. What's the highest it's gotten up to?
1,300.
Okay, got you.
All right. So I do have one question that was sent in. It was specifically around the sovereign citizenship. They said you said you weren't a defendant, but you send letters in your own handwriting with that narrative. I don't know. On the chat.
I think they're speaking to some of the letters that we sent since we've been in jail. They don't give us computers or typewriters or anything, and paperwork can't stop just because we're in jail. I do know certain jails that other women have been transferred from to this location where they are offered some of those amenities, but the detention center that we're at right now doesn't allow that. So, yeah, that's where the handwriting comes from. Prior to us being in jail, when we submitted letters, those weren't handwritten letters, but they're handwritten letters because we're incarcerated at this particular time.
Right.
Also, I wanted to say to that too, whoever's actually mentioning that, hopefully they went on Pacer and saw this themselves. Hopefully it's not a government employee, because they do stalk these communications. Certain people, like, you want to talk probably a little bit more like about Kelly Singleton Lewis and her involvement and the fact that she put up this BINT page and smeared you guys. She's a government worker. She's a federal probation officer. And she has minions, and probably some of these people in the comments. Hopefully they're not, but they're probably affiliated with her. So many things that we're seeing that's being spoken only would be known unless you've gone out there, and you have to pay for these paid downloads too. Pay for these downloads and actually seeing this stuff with your own two eyes. So somebody mentioned handwriting things and this and that, and them, being sovereign and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully they're only getting that from going on Pacer, which I doubt. I'm just kind of saying I got a little leery feeling about that.
Yeah,
and I also want to say that we are not, we don't classify ourselves as sovereign citizens. That while we know that there's a big class of people that do classify themselves as that, but that's not how we're operating. We're operating on our private side and within our own person. So, and we do not classify ourselves as a defendant. That's a straw man that the government gives you.
She's Condit asked, when is the sentencing?
We don't know.
We don't have a date yet. From what we were told, it should be sometime, maybe March, maybe April.
All right, let me see. Go back to this one. Fanny Allen asked, how much money did they personally make off their boards and the monthly subscriptions for the app? Their entire family started off in the water on multiple boards.
Oh, wow. Welcome to that comment. Our family did not start in the water on multiple boards. Go ahead,
like I said before, when we first started, we didn't create our boards. The boards that we brought over into BINT came from a group called Multiply Blessings. In that group, we did not start off on a board. We basically transferred those boards and all the people on them into BINT, which was the new community. So we hear that narrative, but that's just impossible, because we would have had to create new boards, and we just never created new boards. So let's just get that out the way. And I'm going to let you talk in a minute to clarify that as well from your standpoint. But as far as numbers, let's talk numbers. We had a forensic accountant go through every single one of our accounts, and after refunds, after paying people to be blessed out, after all of that, we only profited between me and my wife right around $40,000. $40,000 from the boards. And that, where that $40,000 came from? That was when we were blessed out and Multiply Blessings. That was from the original group. So people talk about, they got rich off board money, they got rich off board. No, we never put our family in any position to win, because everything was about transparency. Everyone had to go. The only way we end up on the water spot is when we started off as a fire and moved up just like everyone else. If we would have started out boards, people would have lost their mind and say, hey, man, you guys are creating boards and putting yourselves in it. We never did any of that. So, and as far as the money from Connect Me, we got a commission check, like I said before. The commission was from an $85 subscription that Connect Me charged that went directly to Connect Me. We received $35 from that as a commission. And a total of that came up to about like $1.2 million over 6 months.
Somebody's asking, who owns
So
Connect?
Nehemiah Thompson.
His name,
Nehemiah Thompson had this company called Connect Me at the beginning of 2021. I also want to add a few quick things. I don't want to hammer it too much, but just to add a couple things to what my husband said. When he says that we profited $40,000 off of the boards, I don't want anyone to think that we're saying we only made $40,000. Did we intake a six-figure number? Absolutely. but we participated. A lot of times when people didn't have fires, we would go be a fire on a board. So that is how me and my husband and our kids' names ended up on so many boards, was from our participation. We never just, hey, we collected the money and we collected, we reinvested, and we jumped back on boards to push other people's boards. And like my husband said, I think I got blessed out a total of maybe 6 or 7 times in the group that we had before BINT was ever created. I was blessed out, I think, maybe 6 or 7 times, and my husband was blessed out 3 or 4 times. So for us to only profit $40,000, that's less than what we made before BINT was ever started. Each time that you get blessed out, you're making $11,000. 11,000 times 6, or 11,000 times 7, that's 66,000. 77. If it's 6 boards, that's 66,000. 7 boards, that's 77,000. If Dre hit 3 boards, that's 33,000. We profited less than what we made in multiplied blessings before we started BINT, but we were okay with that. And even the figure that we made from the commission check from Connect Me, which was supposed to be $35 per person, there were also taxes and fees that came out of the 35, so it wasn't even a full 35 that we made per person off of the Connect Me. We spent $500,000 of the money from our commission check from Connect Me on payroll. The individuals that worked for BINT, they were paid. And I also want to make sure that I clear that narrative up on them. Even though some of those individuals I do not talk to, have not talked to in years, we have no friendships, no relationships. They did not do anything wrong, to my knowledge, and I've scrubbed this information frontwards and backwards, and I'm still not going to say that any of them did anything wrong. Those individuals never done anything to be advantageous to themselves or their family or their friends either. But when you have a company of 25 to 30 people at any given time, they had to be paid as well. And I've also heard that they were paid $10,000 and $12,000 a month. That is also not true. So just wanted to clear those few things up really quick.
Gotcha. They also asked, did y'all file a lawsuit against Connect to hold them accountable?
Go ahead, baby.
Good question. We actually, in the beginning, I want to say 2021, maybe April or May, we were actually already in the process of filing a civil lawsuit against Connect Me. And you know, we already had everything drafted up. And right when we were about to file that civil lawsuit against them, you know, for damages, we basically got hit with a civil lawsuit from the state of Texas, Attorney General, Arkansas Attorney General, and the FTC. When we received those, served those civil suits, you know, we talked to different attorneys, and they said, hey, you know what, you might want to just hold off on, you know, filing a suit on Connect Me, because you're going to need all your attention to be diverted to this civil lawsuit, because this is a big lawsuit. So you don't want to, you know, have attorney fees coming out from one side for this other civil lawsuit, and also trying to fight a big lawsuit against the state. So, and that's what we did. We said, hey, you know what? We're going to reserve our right to come back and file this lawsuit.
3 minutes remaining on this call.
We're going to reserve our right to file this lawsuit later on after we get done with the civil suit. And by the time we get...
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
By the time we got done with the civil suit, which was in, I believe, early 2023, you know, not long after that, we got hit with a criminal case. And that's what we've been dealing with ever since.
Do we have y'all for more, or if this is the last 3 minutes, I'll go ahead and end it out now. I don't know what y'all looking like over there.
Oh, we still here. If they still here, we still here.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Quick. Okay. Somebody's asking, did BINT derive from Blessing Circle?
Derived from Blessing Circle. Was it created from a Blessing Circle? I mean, technically, I guess multiplied blessings was considered a blessing circle, yes. So that's how it all started. We started from a group called Multiply Blessings, which we were in. We were just participants in. And once we got too big and they forced us out, we had to create BINT, which stood for Blessings in No Time. We basically, were in Multiply Blessings.
Recorded.
Exactly how it worked for them, and we just took what they gave us and ran with it.
Okay. Let's see. Hey.
And I want to also say there is, from my understanding, there was hundreds of these groups. There's hundreds of these groups all over. You can go on Telegram, and there was a whole bunch of these groups. I'm seeing a lot of comments basically like, oh, yeah, I lost money in one of these, or I did one of these. They're not even talking about BINT. They're talking about a whole other group that they were in. And so, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows.
Your call will end in 1 minute.
We didn't create this, we didn't create the structure. We were just participants in it.
Man, I'm still asking about this kill switch thing. It's on video.
Yeah,
so somebody's asking about
I definitely want to talk about the kill switch. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the kill switch. I got to hang up. Time zone's up. I'm coming right back. We'll talk about it.
Okay, cool. All right. Shonda, you still there?
Yeah.
I'm here. Shonda just joined.
Okay. All right, so when ASAP comes back on, he will address the question that is pinned. I still want to know about this kill switch. TikTok, y'all are going crazy over there. God damn. They active over there, man. Active 800.
Is there something else you guys want to give me while we're waiting on him to join, just for the sake of time? Because I know we're both probably going to have to wrap up here very shortly.
Let me see. Just any other question. I think y'all answered most of the questions that I've seen. Is there anything else, just, now that you're on the, you have a bunch of people in here looking and watching and listening, is there anything that you want them to know about you moving forward, like what y'all's plans are going forward, how to fight the case, support, whatever? Floor is open.
I think all the support information has been given. And like we said earlier, the more support, the better. We do have a couple things, in the background working as far as how to fight this. But one thing that I've learned is you don't know what you don't know. So we're open to any suggestions, any additional help, any insight that anyone might have to offer when it comes to that. It's definitely going to be a battle. I think Drake's back. It's definitely going to be a battle that's not going to be won just with us. But ultimately, what I do know is that, what's in God's plan is what's going to happen and what's going to prevail. I can't worry necessarily about what it looks like at this particular moment, because faith is about believing in the things that are unseen. So that's pretty much what keeps me going with this fight in the first place, is just knowing, like, hey, it may not look the way I want it to look right now, but ultimately the truth is going to win.
That's right.
I do see somebody in here, and I've seen a few of these a couple times. They're asking why speak up now, as opposed to back then letting the blogs run with certain narrative.
I think I had the worst time in the beginning being quiet. I think that was one of the first things. I remember being so mad at my husband about that. It brought a lot of tension, because I'm like, why we not talking? Why we not talking? Why we won't respond? I wanted to get in the comments, all of that. I'm very thankful now that I didn't. But one of the number one reasons why we never did, that's what we were counseled to do. Every attorney that we ever went with told us not to say anything. Some of that came from, no matter what you say, they're going to twist it. Anything that you say, because the height of the blogs and the media happened on the civil side, and the prevention of things going criminal is what ultimately told us to be quiet. Even during the trial, I wanted to testify. My husband did too, but when you're told to be quiet, you're told this by individuals that are supposedly, experts and professionals, that's what you kind of just go with and you believe. Now at this point, we kind of look at it like we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. Your silence is taken as acquiescence. Your silence makes you guilty, and then if you say something, that makes you look even more guilty. So at this point, it's just like, what do we have to lose other than putting the truth out there and letting people make up their minds for themselves?
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. Like you said, I mean, we both went back and forth about should we say something, should we not. And I think one of the main things we said, in the beginning was, man, everything that we're saying, even when it was gone, everything we said always got twisted. And it's so hard to fight, the public opinion, especially when the media comes out with something, people automatically jump and believe whatever the media says. You see it time and time again from different people, different cases, different situations, and then the media never comes out and apologizes like, hey, we were wrong. Like, they just move on like nothing happened. And so, they started just drilling us on everything, and there was no way we could possibly fight all of that. And I will also be, very open and say that it was hard. Like we went through a very depressing time. When all this happened. Imagine, starting a business and we're thinking that, oh man, this is a great business and we're successful and it's going great and we're helping so many people, and then it just tanks and it fails. And so I'm going to speak for both of us. We looked at ourselves as a failure. Like we failed, and we failed big. And so, it was hard, for us to even want to come outside because, we had so much shame of failure, and, PTSD, so to say, from people just speaking on what they don't know. And so we having to deal with that. I just don't think we were ready at that time to really just come out and speak and be articulate the real issues.
I'm just curious. Y'all are married. Did this situation bring y'all closer together or further apart?
Oh man, definitely closer. I would say, man, I have a newfound love for my wife. We are still, regardless of distance and regardless of the situation, we made a vow, through thick and thin, through, better for worse, we made those vows to stay together. And, I have a even deeper love for my wife. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. But seeing her, how strong she is, seeing how, how she can take a hit, and it might affect her a little bit, right? I mean, we're human, but to see how she can brush it off and get back up and keep going and still have her faith in God, and we still have our faith, and we still every day we pray together. We actually have times, even though we might not be on the phone or we might not be talking to each other, we pray, every, noon and midnight. We have prayer times, and we're not on the phone, but we're connected spiritually. So this definitely brought us closer together. And I'll let her answer as well.
Oh, he loved me. It's definitely brought us closer. We've had our rough moments, I will say that. More so just, I can speak for myself. I think the hardest part in our marriage was feeling like a failure as a wife, feeling like a failure as a mother, as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, and all those things kind of made me withdraw and recluse in a way. And even though there were times when I thought that I was moving forward and I was still being, my regular self, I can look back now and see that I was only being a shell of myself. And when I finally shook that spirit off, things went back to being how they were. Actually, to being better. I love my husband. He's been a very, 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 very strong person. He's a big foundation on my faith. He's a big foundation on my strength. He's still an amazing father, even from jail. It's crazy how resilient our daughters have even been. It made me cry a couple weeks ago for the first time. My baby, I was on the phone with her, and I try my best not to have emotional moments with them. And my oldest, my 16-year-old, told me, she was like, Mom, I am so proud of you. And a lot of my kids, like, they're close friends. They know what's going on. They're not ashamed of it. There's nothing nobody can say to them about their mama and their daddy. They love them some us. But our marriage and our family, even, you know, although we're separated right now, we're all still very much connected.
Man, I want y'all, for anybody that's in a similar situation like that y'all are going through, what advice would you give to them?
Advice, I would definitely say research. Before you get into anything, before you start any business, before you go into business with anybody, know the ins and outs and the do's and the don'ts, and you know, really know the people you get into business with, for one. Know their intentions. Know their, you know, make sure they have the same intentions. Make sure those people are like-minded. But, you know, if you're in a situation like we are in right now, stand up for your rights. Stand up for your rights. You have rights for a reason. The Constitution is there for a reason. You have them, and the Constitution is there to protect those rights. Stand up. Do your research. You know, get you, you know, get with the Concerned Citizen Coalition that are going to back you up, that are going to help you out, you know, during these times, that are going to, you know, walk you through, you know, what it looks like to fight, you know, and stand for the truth. Don't give up the truth. The truth is all you need. And I know it's hard. And I mean, we're standing on truth, and we're in right now. But y'all,
You have
it just
3 minutes remaining on this call.
Real quick, ASAP, because before I forget, the kill switch question that Condit.
Yeah, man. So we created, at the end, it was supposed to be a restart. And that restart was basically supposed to get everybody back whole, you know. So we had to go in and, you know, come with a restart method to where everyone's gonna get back whole, and that was supposed to be the kill switch for everything. So we can all start over, and baby, you can explain it a little bit better as well. You still there?
Did we lose him?
You heard me?
Might have lost
Oh,
him.
we must have lost it. Okay. Well, yeah, so the kill switch was basically intended to be the restart. And so, you know, during that time, you know, we noticed that, hey, this thing is getting too big, it's getting out of hand, people are complaining. Let's come up with a whole restart and get everyone back whole. Anyone that has not been blessed out, let's create boards to make sure that everyone that has not been blessed, let's, you know, manufacture brand new boards to make sure everyone is whole with one payout. And that's what we tried to do. Unfortunately, we got shut down before that.
Did that answer your question? Put it in the chat if it did. Okay, let's see. What else y'all got, man? We got ASAP and his wife on the phone. Make sure y'all ask any question. Hold on. He did not. Oh, they're saying that y'all never used it. What do you say to?
Yeah, like I said, we never used what?
That you never used the kill switch.
Yeah, we never used the kill switch because we ended up getting. We kind of got into, as you can tell, the relationship with us and Connect Me went left, and at that time, they basically kicked us out of Connect Me, and we had no access to any of the boards. So, you know, we unfortunately we just weren't able to.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
hit the kill switch in order to restart everything. So that was the plan. But we just weren't able to do it because we got to connect. We lost access.
And I think that, just to elaborate a little bit more so that people understand when we say kicked out of Connect Me, we had a meeting with Connect Me, and this conversation was recorded, where Connect Me comes to us and tells us, yeah, we're not giving y'all no more commissions because y'all have issued too many refunds, and Stripe is making us pay all these fees for the refund. It was just a very, very, very ugly conversation. And things had gotten so bad inside of our group that Connect Me wanted to disassociate themselves from us because people were going and making complaints at that time with the Better Business Bureau, and they were putting Nehemiah on them, and he was just trying to disassociate from us. And let's also make sure that we, let it be known, Nehemiah was a participant in BINT as well. He also used to get on some of the Zoom calls, and he would speak. Then he stopped speaking, and he started giving the information to Dre and I, and we would give that information to the group. In this last phone conversation, Nehemiah tells us we're going to create another software. It's not even another software. It's just going to be Connect Me. We're still going to have Connect Me for people that don't know about BINT, but we're going to turn Connect Me into something else. We're going to give it another name. You need to tell the group that they need to join this new software. Don't tell them it's Connect Me. We're going to call it something else. And in the middle of that, me and Nehemiah kind of had a really bad conversation because I'm like, you have lost your... We're not doing that. So because we would not go along with that plan, that's when everything completely severed. And we weren't able to access things the way we needed to access things in order to move forward to do that very last, board split that would have made everybody whole. What Nehemiah wanted us to do ethically was just not something we were okay with. I'm not going to take Connect Me and call it something else and then make people pay for that. And this new updated version of what Connect Me should have been is going to have all the bells and whistles, which I highly doubt that it did. I'm not going to do that to people because guess what? Somebody's going to find that out. And even if that were me and I had known that happened to me, I wouldn't be okay with that because we were not okay moving forward with what Connect Me wanted us to do, the way they wanted us to do it. And the next thing we know, we hung up the phone with Nehemiah from having a very ugly conversation, and I think less than 24 hours later, he sends a mass, I don't remember if it was a text message or an email to everybody that was inside of BINT because Connect Me had everybody's information, their names, their phone numbers, their email address. It was a data bank, really. They sent I don't remember if it was a text message or an email, but they send this basically farewell message to everybody in BINT. When that message went out, everybody thought me and Dre sent that. We had nothing at all to do with that. Nothing at all. We were just as surprised. The messages came to us at the same time they came to everybody else that was in the group.
Hopefully that answers y'all's question. We have one about what is your financial status as of now?
Jail.
We broke. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. Man, it's tough, y'all. I'm not going to lie. It's tough. We are in a situation where neither my wife or I have been able to, make income like we used to. These calls aren't free. We are depending on our family and our friends and the support of them to finance everything we're doing right now. We have a great support system that's been helping out. And so, if it wasn't for them, we would be in a totally different situation right now. So we're definitely grateful for them and all the support that we have. But yeah, it hasn't been pretty. But we know that there's better days to come.
Any other questions that y'all have? We have ASAP and his wife on the phone. I mean, they ain't ducking no smoke. They've been giving it to y'all raw and uncut, man. You gotta respect it.
And
go
I
ahead.
just want to make sure it goes, and man, they just show us some love, show us some support. Go to that change petition. And,
change petition. Yeah. Let's get that on the chat. Let me get that on the chat. Send that to me, Sandra.
Okay.
Tell them about the
make
petition.
sure they hit that change. Well, that petition is basically just to show a support of us. You know, we told you guys exactly what's going on, what the truth is. We told you, you know, how the government and how the courts have basically, they have over 40 due process violations, human rights violations, civil rights violations, constitutional violations, violations on violations. You know, so, you know, we just need your help and support to make sure we get that word out, that people know, because this, like Sandra said, this can easily be you or one of your family members. You know, they have a history of doing us this way, and we just want to make sure that, you know, we continue to put the word out. And so, you know, just go in there on that changepetition.org, and I hope it's in the chat right now. Just click that link, go sign a petition.
I'm ready to add it. Give me a second.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I did, but I'll add it again.
Got it. Yes, but that petition will help us with our appeal and through our appeal process.
How does that appeal process work? And wait, before I ask that question, someone asked a good question. They said, why did y'all say no to the 10 years?
It's very hard to get up there and say something and accept guilt for something you know you didn't do. And I've always just been a man of integrity. And so if someone says you killed someone and you know you didn't kill someone, are you going to agree to that just because they're offering you 10 years? It just doesn't sound right. Like I said before, like, you can't make deals with the devil, because I've seen people that have made those type of deals and they give up all their rights. You know? And that's just something we talked about thoroughly, and we just weren't willing to do that.
Okay. All right, go ahead. You were about to go off.
What were we talking about?
I wanted to say, I know we talked a lot about a lot of things. I want everybody to kind of get from them to the violations they've endured, and that they're not here saying that people didn't lose money. That's not what they're here for. They're here to talk about the whole operation, if they can, as best they can. At the time they have allotted to them, you're not going to be able to cover every single thing about BINT in this time. There's just no way to do that. But you can kind of give some clarity for those that may have questions, and we can maybe do a part 2 if we need to. Right. However, the main thing that people need to receive and understand is that their rights have been violated while they've been in police custody, by the U.S. Marshals, by the judge, by the prosecutors, by the entire United States government. And many people are facing the same thing right now, a cousin, loved one, or they will be facing something similar. That's what this really is overall about.
Yeah. And to backdoor that as well, and I want you to touch on the statutes and some of the case laws as well. But, you know, as I've been in here, I've been able to meet other guys, and this the government likes to charge people on conspiracy. That's like their number one count in the feds. And the way the conspiracy works is they don't have to catch you with anything. They don't have to have a controlled buy as far as like when it comes to drug conspiracy. They don't have to catch you with anything. They don't have to, you have a controlled buy. They don't have to have anything. All they have to have is someone say something. Someone, going off of hearsay, say something, or say you have a phone number or a connection to someone else, and they can charge you with conspiracy. And, you know, On top of that, you may not even know that person. That person can just drop your name. And there's so many guys that are in here that have never been found guilty of anything. And they're looking at 20, maybe even 30 years off of what someone else said, just a hearsay, just a rumor.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
They charge them with what's called ghost dope. They can be caught with nothing at all, but because they know someone else that knows someone else that knows someone else that happens to sell drugs, they're the ones that are getting charged with conspiracy. So I think that's crazy. And I see it every day in here.
Another thing, too, you could speak to this, too, Dre, is about the constitutional rights. You guys have talked about over 40 that were violated. Many people don't understand that when you're in the court system being charged with a crime, there's a certain thing called due process where they have to follow certain procedures. It's not about guilt or innocence. It's about the government that have laws in place through the Constitution as well as the Bill of Rights. Read these things, you all. Go out there and look this stuff up when we drop these statutes. So you can know if you ever get in a situation, if your rights are being violated constitutionally. And that's what they were doing. They were fighting for their constitutional rights. That's why they got labeled as sovereign. That's the only reason they got labeled as sovereign.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many constitutional things that have been broken and due process violations in our case. I keep on going back to the conspiracy against our rights, which is 18 U.S.C. 241, deprivation of rights under color of law, which is 18 U.S.C. 242.
Slow them down. You got to slow them down, honey. Make sure they get it. Make sure they understand it so they can go look these up themselves. And we're going to drop some out there too for them.
18 U.S.C. 241. That is conspiracy against your rights. All right? That's when, 2 or more people, conspire against you to impress or intimidate. Much like the Kelly Singleton Lewis and the Donna Patterson, they're federal officers, they're government witnesses that were participants in this, and they used their influence to basically, intimidate other people and make false claims and false statements to investigators. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows, this is a conspiracy against us, and this is a deprivation of our rights. We've been deprived of our rights under the color law, which is 18 U.S.C. 242. There's also witness tampering, 18 U.S.C. 1512. There's also 18 U.S.C. 1519, which is falsification and concealment of records.
With the intent to obstruct a federal case, and that means that you're manipulating that means that you're manipulating the records. You're manipulating the facts.
18 U.S.C. 1001, material false statements. They're knowingly making false claims, false victim statements. And they've been controlling this narrative this whole time.
I don't remember the young lady's name, but she asked a question about why didn't we take the 10 years. I think that
he answered it.
Questions like that. Yeah, but I also just want to tap on questions like that is a narrative that we want to change, especially for Black and brown people, which is the majority of what's in the jail is Black and brown. It's like mostly Hispanic. The rest is Black, and there's a little bit of Caucasian and other inside of here. And you have to think about the reason why the federals have a conviction rate of 98%, and that is because everybody pleads out. And the ones that don't plea out and you go to court, they're not going to fight you fair to get the win. The de facto attorney that represented me during the trial had a very, 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 very nasty attitude when they had her as my standby. Well, like the week leading up to trial, Dre's de facto attorney actually started giving her the facts and the truth of what happened. And I heard this woman, who was a public defender, tell me I actually know y'all didn't do this. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I thought y'all did it. But now that I know everything, I know that y'all didn't. But let me tell you what I've seen this judge do. Let me tell you how this judge works. This judge, every single attorney that we've ever had a consultation with prior to us being in jail, every attorney that has ever done a case in the Eastern District of Texas said, if I ever had a case, I would want it to be with him. He's the most fair judge out of all the judges.
Minutes remaining on this call.
They said he's the most fair judge out of all the judges. However, he doesn't like fraud. He comes down extra hard on fraud. So in y'all's situation, you would have wanted another judge. But even him being the most fair judge, I have other individuals that I've been housed with who had him as a judge, and I'm looking at what he's given them, and I'm like, that's what y'all are considering most fair? And when you take a plea, when you're being threatened with other things, if you feel like, well, what type of choice do I have? I want you guys, if you have the opportunity, to go look up a few different case laws. There's a case law called Brady versus U.S. 397 U.S. 742 1970 that tells you that a plea has to be voluntary. That means you can't be given a plea under threat, coercion, misrepresentation, improper promises. That makes the plea invalid. So when you tell somebody,
what is that again? Give it to me again. Somebody's talking in the chat.
That was Brady versus U.S. 397 U.S. 742 1970.
All right.
There's another one that's called Machaborda versus U.S. And that case law tells you that a guilty plea that is induced by threats or promises violates due process, and they are considered invalid, which means the plea that they gave me and my husband, they came to him first and told him, look, your wife applied for a job. She lied on her job application. That's a federal law. We're going to give her I don't know if it was 2 or 3. They were going to give me 2 or 3 additional federal charges for lying on a job application because, you know, I guess me
Your call
lying
will
on a job
end in
application.
1 minute.
Me lying on a job application to take care of my kids was such a federal crime, and this happened about a month and a half, maybe a month before we were scheduled to go to trial back in 2025. They came to us and said, look, you better sign this plea. We were prepared to go to trial at that time. This was before we knew what our rights were. We were prepared to go to trial. They came and intimidated my husband first and said, we're throwing your wife in jail with additional federal charges that carry a minimum mandatory 2-year sentence. Sign this plea. Then they hit me with the exact same thing 4 days later. So a lot of people don't understand why we let go of those pleas. That's why. We were coerced into signing those pleas because they claimed that I lied on a job application. They don't want you selling dope, and then they don't want to indict you and for you to lie on an application to get a job the legal way either.
Uh-oh. All right. So, you know, before we wrap this up, it's been a long one. It's been a good one. I think we got every question in the chat answered. Do you still believe your intentions were good? Do you feel like after all this, you can confidently say, you know, we did what we thought we were supposed to do, and it's not really on us. It's just the thing got way bigger than we thought, right? Because that's what I'm hearing. It's like intentions was good. The system got bigger than we can handle, and the mistakes were made. But in all, 35 to life is insane. So we're trying to appeal this. We're trying to get, you know, justice on our side. There's been some injustices. Is that kind of the summary of what we're going on right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't change my mind on what my intentions were,
right?
Because that's just what the truth is. The intentions were always good.
Right. Right. So for people, you know, like I said, they're in here. There are some people in here supporting you. Again, we're going to provide the links. We're going to put all that information in the chat. We're going to put it on the description. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience that's watching this with? What do you want them to get out of this interview?
Wow, that's a really good question. Everything that you just said is a big part of it. I want people to just be open to listening to the other side. I don't think that takes away the validity of your emotions. I understand being angry. I'm angry about certain things as well. But I just really, really, really want people to know and to understand that there was never an intention to hurt or to take anything from anybody. And I also want people to understand the injustices that have taken place to me, to my husband, to my family, that are just blown way beyond proportion of what's fair and what's right and what's moral and what's ethical.
And we also want to stamp that 25 million is way overblown.
Way overblown.
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
okay. Because that's the one that's drawing people in and making them emotional. That $25 million.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure if my husband had an opportunity to say this earlier, but when we had sentencing on September 30th, maybe a week before sentencing, on that PSR report that I was explaining to you guys earlier, they have a restitution amount that they wanted to assign to me and Dre. When they originally gave us our PSR, that was TBD, to be determined. The government comes out with this exhibit called Exhibit A. Not only did they increase the victim count from 8,000 to 12,000, they had the names and the amounts that they lost and the email addresses on this Exhibit A. It's 11,915 people. I'm only allowed to touch and look at that in the presence of an attorney because it's considered, there's an injunction for privacy of information. Like, I don't already have these people contact information, but that's a whatever. So as I'm going through this list, I think I got a chance to access this and look at it first before Dre did. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, within 10 minutes, I had identified like over 300-400 people. They have my mom on there. They have minors on there. These minors are put on there because anyone was allowed to put their kids in BINT. These minors' names are being put on there. Some of these people are 6 and 7 years old, and the government has them listed as victims, as though these are people that they, I'm guessing, have talked to and said that they've lost money. You haven't talked to my 7-year-old cousin, and my 7-year-old cousin didn't lose $3,500. But one of the witnesses that they put on the stand in trial, Charis Menace, she said on the witness stand, and she submitted an affidavit that was put into evidence where she herself said she lost $1,700. She spent $1,400, and the $300 difference is the Connect Me fees. Her name is on that document. And on that document, the government has her down as losing $3,055. Now, she said on the stand, and she gave an affidavit of $1,700, and the government said $3,055. What the government did to update me and Dre's PSR report, they put our new restitution amount as $4.3 million. Now, in the tabloids and in the blogs and in the media, it went from $30,000 to $40,000 to $21,000. Now it's back up to $25,000. But in my PSR report, I'm sorry, $25 million.
$33 billion,
I'm sorry.
$40 million. Now it's $25 million. I want you guys to go back and look at the different reports.
You have
through the
3
success.
minutes remaining on this call.
You will see the number has changed.
It's changed and changed and changed. However, on this Exhibit A, they took all 11,915 people, added up those amounts, and that amount came to 4.3. But 4.3 isn't even right because you got tens of hundreds, if not thousands, because I haven't had a chance to go through the full list because I have to sit down with it. The attorney takes it with her every time she leaves. I'm not allowed to sit and process and cross out some of the names. One of my best friends, who I just talked to a couple of days ago, they got him down as losing $11,000. He actually made money, but you had him down as $11,000. And that $4.3 million restitution number that you're putting on my PSR is inclusive of him losing $11,000. You have my mother down as losing money. She didn't lose money. But even in the tabloids, you're not even putting 4.3. 4.3 million isn't even the right number. But that's not even what the tabloids are running with. Clickbait is 20 million, 30 million. $25 million, $40 million.
Crazy.
Make it make sense.
That is.
That's why, you slow these facts down. You really have to think. If people, after hearing you guys' side, and they're still in their whatever thoughts about you all, you can't help those people. That's a God thing. And you got to just keep telling your stories, keep saying true, keep God first in this thing. He's going to exonerate you all.
Right.
That's what I want to say, because it's not about that, what they're trying to make it about.
What I gather from a lot of the comments is that people felt close to y'all, right? Like they almost felt like y'all were family. And it's almost like that's where I see a lot of the tension coming from. Is like there's real pain in the chat, whether
your call will end in
so
1
what do you
minute.
I want you to just speak to the people that are your supporters and anybody that believes in you. Just talk to them real fast before y'all get out of here. What do y'all want? What do you want to leave them with?
Yeah. First of all, we just thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Everybody that's supported us, that's continued to show support, that hasn't been afraid to get in them comments and speak highly on our behalf, even when it's hard. We thank everyone out there that has just been, still communicating, still picking up the phone for us when we call, and doing everything that it takes. We have family out there that's helping taking care of our family, helping take care of the kids. We thank you guys. Definitely want to say we thank Sandra and all the Concerned Citizen Coalition. Like we're so thankful for everybody that's just going out and just, fighting and swinging when we can. Like I said before, I definitely have to say we did not do this. We didn't do this intentionally. We didn't do this to try to get over anybody. We did this to help. And, it sucks that it's come to this, and it's really...
Thank you. Your current balance is, this call may be monitored or recorded.
It sucks and it hurts that it's come to this, but, we're still very, very grateful for everyone that's still there. We know that there are a lot of people that benefited from this, and they're just scared to speak up. Don't be scared to speak up. Speak your truth. Let everyone know it worked for you. That's what we need.
And
Dave, you there?
Yeah. And what I also want you to do is I want you to talk to the people some of the people you may have lost along the way, because maybe they didn't make the money and they feel some type of way. Talk to them specifically right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if my phone's gonna hang up, but I definitely want to say anyone that we lost along the way. I know it's hard, and it takes a lot of forgiveness. If you were hurt, if you lost anything, if relationships were lost, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I know relationships may be lost, and just want to say we apologize from the bottom of our hearts, guys. We really do. This is not something that we wanted to turn out this way. We wanted to be on the other side of this, and spread the joy to everybody. But unfortunately, for things that were out of our control, that just wasn't able to happen. Believe me, we're definitely paying for it right now, and been paying for it. But guys, like I said before, we didn't do this. We don't deserve this. I can't think of anything we said, anything we've told you guys that was illegal, criminal, for us to be in this situation right now. So, if there's anything, if anyone has anything to say, please DM me. I'm always, I still read them, and I still reply. So, just reach out. And, we just want to make sure that you guys, we all operate with a spirit of forgiveness.
Did you all get a chance to say anything about this part of it where Kelly Singleton actually pretty much hand drafted these messages and had people send these to the Attorney General, and it was copy and paste, even though they didn't send you all their money, she had them say, this is a federal probation officer for the Eastern District of Louisiana. She had them say that they sent their money directly to the Moores, which is what triggered all of this investigation into them. That's what was told. And you guys have screenshots and phone recordings of her, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah,
of this information. Okay, got it.
She created.
And what's that code and violation, so I can drop that in the chat to let them know that violation that she actually did there.
Oh man, that one would be the
18 USC 1512.
Yeah.
18 USC 1519.
In 18 USC 1001.
As well as 18 USC 241 and 18 USC 242.
Yeah.
Okay, 18 USC 1512, 18 USC 1519, 18 USC 1001.
18 USC 241 and 18 USC 242.
18 USC 241, 18 USC 242. And so people that actually told this information to the government, they lied on affidavits and said that they were stolen, that you guys had stole their money. They gave you their money directly, but that's not how the BINT operation was ran. They actually committed a crime. So I'm not sure if any of you guys are in this chat. Hopefully not. But if you are, that was criminal. And I'm going to drop these statutes in there because if any of y'all know Miss Kelly Singleton personally, just let them know that, every dog has his day. You're not going to get away with it.
Man, Dre, LaShonda, I appreciate your time. I know this is tough. I know this is risky.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Again, we will add all information in the video. We're going to redrop this as a regular video. The live is going crazy. Thank everybody that's in the live that participated. If you want to support, we will add all that information. Again, is there anything you want to leave them with before y'all get out of here?
Appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to speak, to hear us out. Mad, happy, sad, or indifferent. I just appreciate the opportunity to finally have the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, most definitely. Like she said, we're super, super happy for it.
You have 3 minutes remaining on this call.
Super thankful for you, Jeff. Man, we appreciate the real life family for always supporting us. Man, we've been supposed to be doing this for a little while now. I'm glad we finally did it. God don't make no mistakes, and everything is timing. So, we're just happy to be able to speak our truth. Everyone know it, and y'all, we're gonna be all right. We just we got to continue to fight, and we appreciate everyone that's helping us, and just supporting us along the way. Right. Thank you to the Concerned Citizen Coalition. We gotta say thank you to them, man. They have been a lifeline.
Man,
yes, and please plug yourself to anything. If anybody needs your help, Citizens Coalition.
Yes, our website is www.concerncoalition.org, and we can give you the link tree with all of our socials on there. But if you want to email us, if you have a case, your family member has a case, it's support@concerncoalition.org. We need volunteers and people that can help with the movement and what we're doing. So always know that your help and support is needed, and we're going to continue to fight.
All right. Man.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, man.
All right.
Jeff, man, how you feel about everything you just heard, man? What's your take on it?
I feel like y'all. 35 life is insane, bro. It's insane. I think what's interesting about cases in general, especially in this era, the blogs versus reality. Right. And so, like you said, you just got to do your due diligence, look at the information, and we live in a society where that don't happen. And it's not going to happen, to be quite honest.
Your call will end in 1 minute.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did a poll, and 75% said y'all don't deserve 35 to life. So, hey.
We got some thinking people out there. We appreciate all the thinkers, the ones that logically think and use their head for more than a hat rack. We appreciate y'all. The love is amazing. And I've been looking at these chats, and you guys have a lot of love and support, Trey and Shonda. And just keep knowing that you have a family, a tribe, and an army that's being generated behind all these efforts that you're doing now.
Yeah, we thank you guys. Truly.
Yes,
Thank y'all for everything.
all right. All right, well, with that being said, y'all already know our slogan, DJ ASAP, Shonda, y'all are some real-life street stars, man. And we signing out.
Thank you, Jeff.
We're going to do it one in person when we get back.
Yeah, for sure. I just ended the live.